Talking true crime with MJ. Cases on the screen, yeah, we mainstay. Breaking down facts, every frame way. City in a voice, every word blade. They throw dirt, plot in a group chat, smile in her face. Same ones who do that. Think she soft cause she cute, let them think that. Till they see how she moved and they fall back. Men locked and can't miss one show. Refresh page when the upload go. Women watch too, trying to study her glow. Some take notes, other ones throw stones. Combos with MJ, tap and stay live. Hit like hit share, yeah, help her rise. They hate, they plot, but she built from fire. Click sub on a page if you feel that vibe. Hey. Combos with MJ, true cut like steel. Stream run deep, cause the pain's so real. They talk, but they can't break will. So like and subscribe if you know that feel. You count climb, that's the proof right there. Can't dim shine when the grind is rare. Self-made queen in a swivel back chair. Whole new world in a ring light glare. She stack funds, every post, every ad. Turning dark stories to a big brown bag. Knows the law, knows rights, never move sad. If you cross lines, then it's up, that's bad. Men obsessed, blowing up her DMs. I love you, marry me, she just skims. Women envy, wanna walk in her Timbs, but she stay or never trade for them. Combos with MJ, tap and stay live. Hit like hit share, yeah, help her rise. They hate, they plot, but she built from fire. Click sub on a page if you feel that vibe. Combos with MJ, true cut like steel. Stream run deep, cause the pain's so real. They talk, but they can't break will. So like and subscribe if you know that feel. All that gossip, all that noise. Can't shake poise, can't steal voice. Can't stay clean, mind stay sharp. Heart stay strong in the deepest dark. Convos with MJ, tap and stay live. Hit like hit share, yeah, help her rise. They hate, they plot, but she built from fire. Click sub on the page if you feel that vibe. Convos with MJ, true cut like steel. Stream run deep, cause the pain's so real. They talk, but they can't break will. So like and subscribe, let the fam all build.
What up, party people? I am back. It's your girl. Conversation with MJ. How you doing? Good folks of the algorithm. I hope you had a great week last week, and I hope that your weekend is turning out exactly the way how you want to, right? It's our weather up here, up north is kind of crazy, right? 1 minute, we are having like almost spring to summer weather, like 70, 77 degrees. And then the next following day, it drops down to 36 degrees. And I truly believe that's happening is because people are prematurely coming out there with their shorts and their spring dresses or summer dresses. And, God said, not today. Not today. Y'all don't know how to act. Let me go ahead and bring y'all back to cold weather, right? So that's what's been happening lately. And it's been hilarious. It's trying to get me sick, but we're pushing through. We're definitely pushing through. Also, I've been very busy today, like even for the past couple of days. I've been doing a lot of packing. I'm still packing. I was packing all day today. So that's a process, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it together. And I want to say hello to the early birds catches the worm for the group. Hey, Miss Jalen, que lo que, mommy. It's good to see you. Happy Saturday to you. I hope everything's well with you. Bama, it's so good to see you. How are you, darling? How are you? Thank you for coming by. Shout out to you, and happy Saturday. I hope everything's going well with you, sir. I hope everything is going well. Yeah, I'm tired of this weather too. I am, Miss J. I'm tired of this weather. But it seems like, we're going to have good weather going forward. Today was pretty good, and hopefully tomorrow will be even better. So that's what I'm wishing. I'm definitely wishing that. All right. So guys, I do have 3 new cases for you guys. Go ahead and hit the like button for me if you haven't done it already, or you can hit the down button. It still helps the channel. Share this out to anyone who is interested in going over these old cases, cold cases, current cases, you name it, we dissect it over here. We dissect the psychology behind individuals that are in this type of situation. We also dissect the mindset of the, how can I put it, the interrogators that are having interrogations with these people. And then sometimes we have body cam clips as well as some viewing of what takes place in the court. And we will dissect that to understand how the prosecutor is trying to approach a case, or how a defendant or a lawyer for the defendant is trying to approach the case to help their client. So when I do have these type of cases, we dissect them all from all parts. And if you enjoy it, and if you think anybody else enjoy it, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the like button. All right. Yeah, no problem, sweetheart. Go ahead and multitask, do what you got to do. You know, we grown folks over here, right? We have things to do. We definitely do. So let's start off with one of the cases right now. And I'm going to go over this one about a straight A student. So a straight A student murdered his parents, and we're going to figure out what happens next. And we're going to start to look at how he was talking in the interrogation room. So let me go ahead and pull this up, and then we can definitely get into it, okay? Let's see. Rebel said, I watched the Dateline NBC about the Par murder last night. Oh, wow. Okay, great. How did you like it, Bama? How did you like it? Blue Dot said, hi, how you doing, Blue Dot? Happy Saturday to you. Happy Saturday. All right, let me go ahead and pull it up my screen and we can get into it. Okay, I hope you guys can see this. And here we go.
Donald S. Mayer, born in 1973, his wife and their teenage son.
Minutes from now, deputies responding to this call will make a grim discovery: the decomposing bodies of Donald Mayer and his wife Tatiana. What they don't know yet, the couple's teenage son Nikita has just spent weeks living with his parents' lifeless remains. 17-year-old Nikita is a straight-A student with big ambitions. For months, he worked with an online network to engineer an elaborate scheme, one inspired by the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. With Nikita already miles away, police now find themselves in a race to stop him before more lives are lost.
We have a feeling like we know what happened and when it happened. We have no idea why this happened. Okay? The only one who knows why is you. All right? This is your story.
Nikita was born on September 19, 2007 in Moldova, a small European country sandwiched between Ukraine to the north and east and Romania to the south and west. But his parents eventually split up. But his future took an unexpected turn in 2015 when his mother, Tatiana, met Donald Mayer on an international dating site. Donald and Tatiana hit it off, and before long he flew to Moldova to meet her and Nikita. Over the next year, he met them in Europe on more than one occasion, and in 2017 he traveled overseas once again, this time to marry Tatiana in Moldova. Tatiana and Nikita emigrated to the United States later that year and began their new lives with Donald in his upscale home in Waukesha, Wisconsin, just a few miles from downtown Milwaukee. Moving to a new country was definitely a challenge for 10-year-old Nikita. That said, he did about as well as could be expected for such a life-changing transition. He even became a naturalized citizen in 2021 and began attending Waukesha West High School the following year. According to his teachers, he was polite, hardworking, and involved in lots of clubs and after-school activities. As a junior, he had perfect attendance and was named Student of the Month by the school's health department and was in the process of joining the National Honor Society. Even so, Nikita didn't have many friends. It's unclear why, but his parents wouldn't let him get a driver's license either. Like most teenagers, he resented the fact that they exerted so much control over his life. Without wheels, he didn't have much opportunity to socialize with kids his own age outside of school. As such, there was an underlying current of tension between Nikita, Donald, and Tatiana. Unsurprisingly, he turned to internet chat groups to get what he wasn't getting at home or at school. Over time, the bright and well-rounded Moldovan transplant underwent a remarkable transformation that almost no one knew about. At least Donald and Tatiana didn't know about it until they get a surprise visit from FBI agents in 2023. Needless to say, they were shocked when agents told them that they were investigating suspicious and potentially illegal activity from an IP address linked to one of the computers in their home. Unfortunately, we don't know anything more because the details of the investigation weren't released since the case was eventually dropped. But we do know that run-in with the FBI didn't scare Nikita straight. Instead, it may have steeled his nerves and actually accelerated his radicalization.
All right, so far from what we hear, this is a young man who was pretty much he's a naturalized citizen of America, and it seemed like he had a problem with the transition coming over here from America from his native country. And then on top of that, it does seem like, his family, they push for excellence from him, right? They did everything what they could to get over to America, and they also wanted him to, use that and benefit himself and his family, and sky's the limit. By him being so focused on, exceeding when it comes down to education, being a part of these academic clubs, he lost the social aspect of what American teenagers have to go through and deal with, or it was a pretty hard time. And I do believe like that is definitely a culture shock, right? Because I have no idea, or I would not have any clue what it is to be a teenager or a young man in growing up in a different country, right? I only know that of growing up as a teenager in America. So it could be quite different, right? The things that they do over there, their type of social environment and how they operate, it can be entirely different than how it is in America. So it seemed like he was definitely having a hard time, and he started to go to group chats that was other individuals probably having a hard time if these individuals are in the same age range as him. And he was doing things that were considered internet crime, or probably even saying things that was alarming to the FBI. So that's so far, that's what I'm pretty much getting with him. And then even looking at his picture, he seems like he has a lot going on, right? You could just tell in the picture that we're seeing right now. And this could be the picture that he got locked up from. So he could be looking extra evil or extra, devious because of that. But it does look like when I look in his eyes that he was dealing with a lot of things that was going up there that he can't really explain. And it's unfortunate if he's actually the one who took his parents' life. It's very unfortunate. But we're going to get into it again. We're going to get into it. Let's see. Bama said, I never liked the popo. I went to my favorite pancake place. Police officers were there. I was paid, told the young lady I thought I saw. Lord, Bama, go in the corner. Go in the corner. All right, let's go on.
Later that year, using the online name Awoken, he began communicating with members of a shadowy neo group known as the Order of the Nine Angels, or O9A. The group primarily promoted the idea of accelerationism. In a nutshell, it stated that Western society and governments were so hopelessly corrupt that they had to be destroyed so that a new social order could be created. O9A was apparently founded in the United Kingdom in the 1960s or 70s, but Nikita was allegedly communicating with the Russians, or at least he thought he was communicating with the Russians. Whatever the case, he messaged other O9A affiliates on TikTok between December 6th and 8th, all in 2024. In one exchange, he referenced Charles Manson and said that his parents would take away his phone if they knew what he was up to. On Telegram the following month, under the name Accelerationist, he asked who would get blamed if his plans were successful. Later, he mentioned a manifesto that he was writing. After that, he talked to an unknown user known as Angel of Death about purchasing a drone capable of dropping bombs, as well as headphones that could block out the sound of a .357 Magnum. There's no denying that Nikita was smarter than the average 17-year-old. As such, he must have known that secrecy was of the utmost importance. But like many young men his age, he apparently couldn't resist the urge to brag to an attractive member of the opposite sex. In late January or early February of 2025, he told a female classmate what he intended to do. It's unclear if she took him seriously or chalked it up to an adolescent male's bravado and delusions of grandeur. But before running off to class, he told her in no uncertain terms that it wouldn't end well for her if she told anyone his secret. It's unclear if Nikita actually thought he'd be able to carry out his nefarious plan.
So I'm going to play it forward. I just wanted to say, obviously, this young man was groomed, and he was being groomed by individuals that he don't know whether or not if they are the particular group that he was associated with. He don't know who was grooming him, but he was groomed into having a sort of hatred or a sort of righteous mindset that Western countries has been an abomination, and that they need to, they need to be taken care of and be handled with. And he started to go along with it. I'm glad that if the woman or the young girl that he was, interested in and he was telling all that information to, she went and told authorities, or she informed somebody, a teacher or somebody, of him saying that, because we don't know where the actual plan will start, right? Like, it'll start like, yeah, we need to, I was speaking with this group and we need to do this bomb and we need to do that bomb. And then eventually it'll be like, well, why don't we start at schools, right? Why don't we start at libraries? Why don't we start at institutions? Like, we can do that there, right? We want to make an impact to make everybody know that we're serious. And that's usually how terrorist organizations work and operate, right? They go after people who are insecure. They go after people who are naive, people who are antisocial, people who want to belong to something, people who want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right? It gives them a sense of pride. And they'll say, hey, man, this is what's going on. This is what's hurting you. Like, everything would be better and everything would be okay if this particular type of group, these particular type of people, blah, blah, blah. It always goes down the same route, that it puts a blame on a particular group for the things that you're going through. Mind you, most of the time in these situations, when children and other folks get groomed into doing this, what we would call terroristic acts, they're looking for someone to blame, when pretty much the only person they can blame is themselves, right? If you're having problems socially, there's therapy, there's a whole bunch of groups for people who have shared that they are going through social problems where they're not able to interact with people, or they feel that people don't get them, understand them, or is not even interested in the same thing that they're interested in. You have to take the proper initiative, right? But then again, it's hard because these groups, they sense these things about you, and they weaponize it against you. I should say, they weaponize it against you. They use it against you for you to do whatever deed that they want you to do. But let's go. Oh, thank you, Bama. Thank you, Bama. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's go on.
Plan. After all, how could a 17-year-old with no money, no car, and no driver's license assassinate a president or overthrow the U.S. federal government and single-handedly ensure the future of the white race? Nonetheless, he soldiered on and eventually realized that his mother and stepfather had some things he desperately needed, and he knew he would never get them until they were out of the way. At that point, his mother Tatiana and Donald ceased being human beings and became pawns, or perhaps more accurately, a means to an end. Nikita abruptly stopped going to school on Wednesday, February the 12th of 2025. This was way out of character for the young man who had perfect attendance up until then. Skipping school was the first piece of the puzzle to fall into place that fateful day, but it wouldn't be the last. In fact, the scene inside the home that afternoon was nothing short of horrific. Over the next few days, Nikita electronically submitted a number of school assignments to prevent his teachers and school administrators from asking too many questions. Meanwhile, Donald's mother in Massachusetts got worried when she didn't hear from him as often as she usually did. Like any good mother, she called and texted multiple times to make sure that he and his family were okay. Eventually, she got this message from his phone. "Mom, I just want to take a break from all devices. We're fine." Her keen motherly instinct told her that something just wasn't right, and she got even more suspicious later when subsequent messages didn't match her son's writing or communication style. And as it turns out, she wasn't the only one getting odd messages from Donald's phone. Starting on February the 13th, his boss received a number of texts informing him that he was too sick to come to work and that he wasn't even able to talk on the phone. Donald's mother held off for nearly 2 weeks, but at 9:45 in the morning on Friday, February the 28th, she called the Waukesha Sheriff's Office and asked them to perform a welfare check on her son's house.
So we don't talk about this enough, and I don't think a lot of people talk about it enough in any space, right? After a while of dealing with the individual, speaking with the individual, this can be your coworker, this can be your gym friend, you name it, right? The the relationships that we form in our lives, we really do pick up on those individuals' mannerism, their tone of voice, the way how they write messages, the way how they process things in their mind. We have an understanding of their perspective. And it's very intuitive for us to understand when something is off, right? And that raises up, that raises up a red flag, like maybe something's wrong, right? Whether if it's someone doing something like this, or if someone is having a mental episode and you realize that this person that you're speaking to don't necessarily, sound like themselves, right? And I think that a lot of people don't understand that, especially the ones who loves to participate in pretty much, I guess, acting as of the victim, acting like the victim, trying to send messages so it wouldn't alarm anybody else who would be concerned about the individual. After a while, your personality, your tonnage, or even the way how you think, your thought process is going to come out when you're using these individuals' devices. And you're gonna eventually people are gonna figure things out, especially if the victim is now acting out of normal, right? If this guy is always calling his mom every other day, or he's going to visit his mom at least 3 times a week, and then she don't see him or hear from him in a month, and he didn't let her know that he was going on a business trip, a vacation, or anything of that sort, it's going to raise red flags. It is what it is, right? And unfortunately, him being a very smart young man, he didn't take that into consideration when he was planning all this. Hey, Sebastian, how are you? How you doing? How you doing? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Hope everything's going well with you. Hey, young Riaz, how you doing, little bro? It's good to see you. Good to see you. Happy Saturday. I hope everything's going well with you too. Hope everything's going well. Miss Sweetheart, it's good to see you, dear. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Hope everything's going well with you, dear. Hope everything's going well. Thank you guys for coming in. I know I started a little late, and YouTube and all these technologies been acting up and messing up lately, but it is what it is. We're going to get this information and this content out. So let's go on.
On Cedar Hills Drive. This is what the operator told the deputies who were dispatched to the scene.
Callers out of state requesting well-being check on her son, Donald S. Mayer, born in 73, his wife, and their teenage son. Caller got a call today from the teenager school and advised that they hadn't been to school in a long time. Caller hasn't had contact with anyone there in a couple weeks.
Interestingly, the sheriff's office received another call about the Mayer family that day. An administrator from Waukesha High School had called to report Nikita had not been in class for approximately 2 weeks.
Affirmative, and has perfect attendance, so it's really out of the ordinary. They've been out of school for a little over 2 weeks, and no one's called him out.
At about the same time, Nikita took a number of photos of himself posing with his stepfather's Smith & Wesson .357 Magnum. The Meyer house looked neat and orderly from the outside when deputies arrived later that morning. They knocked and identified themselves multiple times, but when no one came to the door, they walked around the house to see if they could find an open door or window. But when they couldn't, they forced their way in. As soon as they did, they were confronted by the pungent and unmistakable odor of decomposing flesh. Moments later, they found 51-year-old Donald Mayer covered in bedding and surrounded by candles on the floor of his office. It was hard to tell, but it looked like he had at least one gaping gunshot wound to his head. After that, the deputies found Nikita's 35-year-old mother, Tatiana, on the floor in the upstairs bedroom, according to some accounts, in the hallway possibly. Either way, she was covered in bedding and had been shot multiple times. As for Nikita, the family dog Toby, and Donald's Volkswagen Atlas, they were conspicuously absent. Neighbors told investigators that Nikita drove away in Donald's Atlas on the morning of Monday, the 24th of February. That meant that the possibly armed double murder suspect, who had previously been investigated by the FBI, had a 4-day head start. And when the authorities pinged Nikita, Donald, or Tatiana's phones, they were all nearly 1,000 miles or 1,610 kilometers away in Cheyenne, Wyoming. They continued pinging the phones over the next few days to track Nikita's movements. At that point, they had no idea if he was driving aimlessly or was following some pre-planned escape route. Whatever the case, he traveled through Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming before ending up in Waukene, Kansas, late on the night of February the 28th, the same day that his mother and stepfather's bodies were discovered.
So, obviously he planned this, right? And one of the things that the video essayist said, that when the cops finally was able to get in there on the 28th, it was a very bad smell, reeked of the, corpse, right? 2 corpse. And I find it very funny how they found them, right? He had them in pillowcases and stuff like that, and then he had the candles lit up and set around the stepfather's body. I find that very ritual, right? It seems very ritual to me. Normally, people who do that, they like, it was a sacrifice to who? I don't know. I don't know what God would you sacrificing this to, what deity you were sacrificing this to, but it does seem very ritual, the way how he had them bound up, what type of fabric he used to bind them up, and also the candles being there. But that goes to let you know that even on the 28th, so the 28th, if they found the bodies and it was decayed that bad, that means he already killed them maybe 3 days, 4 days prior. So for him, so they're actually correct. He did have a 4-day head start where they would now have to try to pick up from there, from the house, and try to track him, going back, talking to the neighbors or the eyewitnesses, seeing him in his stepfather's car and what route they was driving. So now they have to play catch up, which gets really hard for detectives, and the fact that he went numerous of times, he went over state lines, right? He, so far they named about 3 to 4 different states that he already was able to hit within 4 days. Luckily there was, hopefully, we don't know, because this is the first time I'm actually hearing about this case, but luckily if they were able to find him, that was lucky, because truly, if he really wanted to like dip, he could have like made his way all the way down south, and he would have had a 4-day head start where they could probably pretty much lose him and not be able to gain him back if he was to go down south or to South America. They wouldn't be able to get him at that point, really. That's wow. I really do believe that he did plan it. I think that even him, from what I know and from my education on it, the way that he even moved, I was looking and paying attention to the locations that he went to. The way that he even moved was very strategic behind it, right? He moved as a horizontal to the next neighboring states. And then he did, at the last day on the 28th, he did a diagonal zigzag down to Kansas City. And I think that it was a part of him, removing, for them to remove the trail. And at this point, we don't know whether or not if he is going to try to go down south. Let's see. Sweetheart said he was crazy. Yeah. Yep, he did. He got with a bad crowd on the internet, and sometimes that happens.
At approximately 11:25, a local officer saw a silver VW Atlas with Wisconsin plates run a stop sign just a few blocks from I-70. By then, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department had listed the Atlas as stolen. They also added notes in the system to alert authorities in different jurisdictions that the driver was a person of interest in a double homicide and should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. As such, the unsuspecting officer in Waukene, Kansas, knew he had his hands full when he ran the VW's plates. He thought the driver might flee and lead him on a high-speed chase, or even worse, he could stop and engage him in a potentially dangerous and deadly gunfight. The next few moments were unimaginably tense as the officer accelerated up to the Atlas and hit his siren and lights. The vehicle pulled over moments later. The officer drew his gun and ordered the driver to get out with his hands up. And moments later, the door opened and the driver stepped out into the darkness. Thankfully, Nikita complied with the officer's commands and was taken into custody without incident. The officer realized just how lucky he was later that night when investigators found the .357 Magnum handgun in the Atlas just an arm's reach from the driver's seat. The search also turned up $14,000 in cash, Donald and Tatiana's driver's licenses, phones, bank cards, and a pile of Tatiana's jewelry, along with the family dog, Toby. Waukesha County detectives spent a lot of time building rapport with Nikita when they interrogated him on March the 11th of 2025, shortly after he was extradited from Kansas back to Wisconsin. Nikita told them about life in Waukesha, and he took obvious pride in the fact that he was such a model student.
So you guys lived in Waukesha, you, your mom, and your stepdad. I know you guys got a dog, Toby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In that same house in Cider Hills?
Yes.
Okay. Going to school, going to Waukesha West. How's West? How's high school?
It's good.
Yeah?
Good grades.
You do well?
Yeah.
What do you enjoy?
I suppose history the most.
Yeah? Okay. Anything you don't like about school?
Just waking up in the morning,
Having to go?
Any clubs at school?
Yeah. The environmental club.
Okay.
The Interact, it's called. It's basically like local community type of volunteering.
Oh, okay.
And FBLA.
What's that?
It's like, it stands for like Future Business Leaders of America.
Oh,
And there's
okay.
different like things you can choose, like different events or topics. And I choose cybersecurity one.
Okay.
I was in the process also of joining National Honor Society as well.
Okay. Grades are really good then,
Yeah.
obviously? Okay.
Where do you rank?
Grade is okay.
Yeah. Where do you rank in the class, you know?
Third,
That's pretty good. All right. What's the plans after high school?
I was thinking Madison.
Yeah? For what?
I was thinking something STEM related, maybe engineering.
All right, so the only reason why I stopped it here, I am going to let it play, so you don't have to curse me out, guys. I'm going to let it play. I just wanted to talk about the reason why they're approaching him in this way. Not only because he is a teenager, but because he is very, very dangerous. And he's also very smart. I know that both the detectives inside this room knows that they're dealing with a sociopath. You can even look how his mannerisms is. He's not making any fast movements. His tone of his voice is very, very, very calm. Very, very calm. Mind you, he knows why they pulled him over. He knows why they came and detained him. He understands perfectly well why they're talking to him, right? But he's playing the game right now. Remember what I told you about the battle of wits? The battle of wits happens in the interrogation room, especially when you're up across psychopaths, sociopaths, um, natural born manipulators, you name it. The battle of the wits always happens in this room. Right now, he is controlling the conversation. And the reason why I say that he's controlling the conversation is because they are, they are pretty much pacifying him as of right now, asking him about himself. Tell me about how you are in school, what you like about school, what you don't like about school. They're trying to use the human experience with him, but they clearly know that he's not there, right? He likes talking about himself. He likes mentioning the things that he's into or the things that he has done that he's that he's proud of. But they know that he's not really for the actual human experience, which have to do with other people and not himself. But they're using this tactic because one of the things that you do is you placate to someone's ego, especially when you can analyze and come to a determination that they are ego driven. You will want to approach them scratching and rubbing their ego because they will be more open to have conversation and dialogue with you. If you try to use the strong approach with them, it's not going to work. They're going to shut down even more than how they're shutting down now, not showing any of emotions. So I just wanted to point that out, and we'll go on and we'll get back into it.
I wasn't entirely sure.
Like, what is the, like, if you're thinking of a dream job, what is it? Don't know yet?
Hard question.
Yeah. Most kids don't know when they go through college.
Engineering. That's a lot of math. Are you a math lover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up until then, his time with the investigators was more like a pleasant meeting between new friends than a bona fide interrogation. But eventually, they had no other choice but to address the business at hand.
We have a feeling like we know what happened and when it happened. We have no idea why this happened, okay? The only one who knows why is you, and why you were out in Kansas and why you left, okay? And I'm really hoping you talk to me about why this happened, more than what, all right? This is your story. Nikita, understanding the above stated rights, are you willing to answer questions at this time without the presence of an attorney? And like I said again, if you want to see what questions I ask and choose not to answer those, you can. If you want to answer all of my questions, it's up to you. This is your show.
So can I say no to that, or is that like a...
No, these are your rights. No one can make you talk to us. Okay? This is whatever you're comfortable with. I can't make you talk. You don't have to talk to me. All right? I'm telling you, the point of us talking, more than anything, I promise you, Nikita, is that I want to know why. So that I can tell your family in Massachusetts, so I can tell your grandma Lydia, because I've talked to Robert, I've talked to Judith, I've talked to Tanya. I didn't talk to Lydia, my partner did. No one understands why this happened. And they're looking to me to give them some of the answers, and I can't give it to them without talking to you. So you can tell me you don't want to talk.
Yeah, I think I'd rather first talk to an attorney.
Okay, that's your right.
After Nikita exercised his right to remain silent, the investigators left him alone in the interrogation room to think about what he did and contemplate his bleak future. 2 hours later, an officer escorted him to a different part of the building before he was transferred to the Waukesha County Jail. The detectives didn't get the confession they were hoping for, but as the investigation continued, the authorities uncovered a mountain of damning evidence against Nikita. First, they found his 3-page manifesto, Accelerate the Collapse, on his phone. In it, he talked about a
Right, Sebastian. Sebastian said he should definitely get a lawyer before even talking to them. I said this man was smart. I said this young man was very, very smart. I told you that he was in control of the situation from the beginning. He knew once they gave him the Miranda rights that he needed to sign, anything that he would have said was going to go on record. And that's why he said, I want to speak to a lawyer first and shut that shit down immediately. Immediately. Hey, Lana, how are you? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you. Yeah, but he really set this thing up. Now, their situation was, okay, they said, all right, we're not going to push the issue. You don't want to talk with us until you have a lawyer? Fine. We're going to let you sit in here for a little while. And guys, I hope y'all understand that that is a tactic as well. They really do let you sit in there for maybe hours or so. And they're just out there talking, you know, probably getting more information, waiting on DNA or fingerprints to come back, you know, stuff like that. But they're just sitting there and they want you to be with your thoughts to see whether or not if you're going to, you know, start to feel guilty. Maybe you do want to start speaking. You start feeling the pressure that you might not be getting out of this. And that's the tactic that they use, right? Certain times when you just sit people by themselves, a lot of people can't just be in the room by themselves with their thoughts, especially if they did something wrong. So they did this tactic. Necessarily, I don't know if it really worked on him per se, but I'm sure they're going to definitely try again. They're definitely going to try again. But let's go on. Let's go on and let's hear what else he has to say. So apparently they found more information while he was able to be detained, and they was able to go into the house. They found his manifesto. He talked about accelerate the collapse, and I guess the acceleration of the collapse had to deal with him, his family, right? His parents, right? Because he has to show and prove, right? And this is another thing when it comes down to the grooming, right? The grooming when it comes down to terrorist organization. Usually you have to give up something for them to believe or to trust you that you're all for it, right? There's some individuals, they say, yeah, I want to be a part of this group. I want to be a part of this clique and all the stuff like that. And they don't really want to, you know, sacrifice anything to be a part of it, right? They just want to be, they just want the name, they want the protection, they want the security. If they even get some clout off of it, they want the clout of being a part of an organization, but they don't want anything of the negative things that can occur by you being part of any organization or even being affiliated with it. So normally individuals who cannot sacrifice things that, or you know, that they already have just to be a part of the organization, they tend to, you know, they tend to fall back, right? They tend to be like, no, man, I'm not with this shit. I ain't with this shit anymore. Nah, I'm good. They ended up, you know, running away with their tails between their legs. But these type of organizations, they really do ask you, the individual, they really do ask you to give up things. They'll ask you to show you know, allegiance to them. And that's usually committing a crime, hurting someone, or even taking a life, or someone that's important of you. They'll tell you to do that, because if you can sacrifice someone or something that is very, very important to you, then to them, that's the utmost allegiance that you could possibly show to an organization. So I think that in part of this manifesto that he wrote, don't know how many pages it was or how many words it was. I'm thinking it's definitely over 5,000 words. I'm sure that a part of him doing this manifesto was also detailing that he was willing to show and prove that he is serious about whatever mission that they have by sacrificing his parents as the initial, you know, the initial step to this, right? Let's see. Miss J said, my man had a manifesto, a whole manifesto. Yes. Hey, Stay Strong. How are you? I hope everything's well with you, dear. Hope everything's well. He said, manifesto. Why is it every time the FBI is involved, there's a manifesto? Reason is to take away gun rights. The FBI wants the public to believe every gun owner is crazy. No, Stay Strong. I don't necessarily believe that. I don't necessarily believe that at all. But I do believe that the reason why a lot of cases, when dealing with the dealing with manifestos, it goes on the FBI's, what they track, is the fact that the FBI don't move initially, right? They sit back and they collect a lot of information first before they decide to get involved, and the public gets to see, hey, they're going after this individual or that individual, because they sat back in the background and they collected as much evidence as possible to be concrete to get this person or get this organization, get this group, you name it, right? They're not the initiative, how can I put this? They are not the initiative agency, right? Our initiative agencies are police, right? That is like the front line when it comes down to these type of situations. Usually is the police that is always dealing with initiative situation where they need to escalate or they need to de-escalate a situation within the now. When you're dealing with FBI and CIA, and there's other organizations that I ain't going to mention, but there are definitely other organizations, they are the ones who deal with specific type of things, and it's a process, right? They're not just supposed to just come in and say, oh, I have one incident where this one individual online, and this one individual said one thing that can be deemed a little bit threatening, and now we just need to go in there and drop a black drop a black bag over their head and snatch them out the house. That's not what they do, right? They don't do that, right? They're not the Gestapo. They sit back and like, okay, bing, we got a hit. This person used this type of terminology. It can seem threatening. Let's sit back and let's watch and see how this person play for at least a year, maybe even more, if we find out that other people is involved and that there's other situations that is about to occur, right? Let's get all the information first, and then we can say, now, the reason why we arrest so-and-so individual is because we have 5 years, 10 years, or we have 12 years plus of information and evidence that this person been operating in this such a way for this particular type of time. Let's see. Stay Strong said, no apologies for not trusting any law enforcement agency. I mean, it's okay, Stay Strong. It's okay. So a lot of people do feel that way, and I totally understand it, you're entitled to your feelings. I completely understand. Completely understand. But let's go on.
Assassinating the president and possibly the vice president, creating chaos, and saving the white race from what he described as the Jewish-controlled politicians. The manifesto also included this statement: "Hail, hail, the white race, hail victory." Investigators also found home security footage which showed Nikita manually adjusting the camera in Donald's office, lighting the candles around his body, and saying this: "So you can see him there. I can literally see the rotten body there." It's unclear who he was talking to, but investigators suspected it was someone on the phone, possibly one of the unidentified Russians who were allegedly selling him a bomb-dropping drone. Based on the phone ping data, they also determined that he murdered Donald and Tatiana on or about February the 11th. And even more shockingly, he lived in the home with their decomposing bodies for nearly 2 weeks before fleeing. But despite his shocking behavior and radical rhetoric, the authorities ultimately concluded that Nikita was primarily driven by financial interests. Nikita was initially charged with stealing the VW Atlas and the .357 Magnum, and for using his mother and stepfather's IDs and bank cards to obtain money. But unsurprisingly, he was eventually charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of hiding corpses, and 1 count of intimidating a witness for the incident in school when he told his female classmate about his plan. Nikita remained in custody under a $1 million bond, and his trial was initially set to begin on March the 2nd of 2026. Despite putting together a relatively airtight case, prosecutors offered Nikita and his defense team a plea deal in late 2025.
In consulting with the family, they were in agreement that this is a fair offer. I think it gives us the time period that we want for incarceration, so there's really no reason to put the family through a trial.
Are you able to say at this point what you plan to argue at sentencing?
I think that this is a maximum penalty case. I assume that that's what I will be arguing. I never thought anything other than that from the time I charged this case.
So do you think that there's a chance he's going to get out in 40 years, 50 years and be back in this community?
Certainly, I don't think he should be out in the community, and I would argue against that.
How did you consult with Nikita Casap as well, or just his attorneys? I know there was a lot of talk today, like did he actually understand everything that was happening to him, since he isn't through high school and English is not his first language?
Right. I do believe, based upon the record that was made today, that he did understand everything. I communicated. I would never communicate directly with Mr. Casap. I communicated with his counsel, and I think it's a good resolution.
Nikita accepted it in January of 2026, and by doing so, he forfeited a number of rights in exchange for prosecutors dismissing the 8 additional felony charges.
Is it your understanding, sir, that you and your attorney are going to be free to argue for whatever you believe to be an appropriate sentence or sentences in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it also correct, sir, that you and Mr. Raffel have discussed the parameters, that is, the extent of the sentences? That is, if you're found guilty of these 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, on each count it carries with it a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
But on the other side, there is an option where the court could allow for extended supervision eligibility, not a promise of it, but the opportunity or eligibility for extended supervision after 20 years you've served on each sentence. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So it's not a minimum, but it's the possibility exists for extended supervision after 20 years on each sentence. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And you feel that Mr. Raffel's explained that to you adequately?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
By then, 18-year-old Nikita was no longer the cool and confident young man that he was when detectives questioned him immediately after his extradition. In fact, his chair trembled noticeably during the subsequent court proceedings.
This also tells me you are not receiving any treatment for a mental illness or disorder. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it also true that you've not had any alcohol, medication, or drugs in the last 24 hours?
Yes, Your Honor.
I give up my right to a trial. True?
Yes, Your Honor.
I give up my right to remain silent, and I understand that my silence could not be used against me at trial. True?
Yes, Your Honor.
I give up my right to testify and present evidence at trial. True?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anybody in any way force you to give up these rights?
No, Your Honor.
Did you commit these offenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
So as to count number 1, as to Donald Meyer, did you intentionally take some action? My understanding is that you used a handgun, a pistol, or a revolver, and you shot him and caused his death. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you do that intentionally?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you knew that shooting him would cause his death?
Yes, Your Honor.
And as to count 2, Tatiana Casap, and
Hey, Moa,
the same questions for you. Did you take an action? Did you use a handgun to shoot her and kill her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that your intent, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you committed both of these offenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nikita is currently being held in the Waukesha County Jail awaiting his sentencing hearing, which is scheduled for Thursday, March the 5th of 2026. The judge could go easy on him and make him eligible for parole after serving just 20 years for each count of first-degree murder. However, the district attorney made it clear that the prosecution would ask for the maximum sentence. And, in all likelihood, the young man from Moldova, who once held a bright future, will probably spend the rest of his life in prison. We would like to express our sincere and deepest condolences to the victims' families.
All right, so that one was a real deep a deep story, right? It's really sad. Prayers to his parents who lost their life. It seemed like they lost their life for no good reason. They weren't horrible parents. They didn't abuse him. They set him up pretty well, and he got caught up into this internet mess, and he was definitely groomed, right? And then it didn't help the fact that he was dealing with his social awkwardness from coming in from a different country at the year of 10 years old, and then having to navigate our system, our institution, and our social environment as Americans. And I do believe that that played a process in it. And this is why he was very gullible or easily convinced to do something like this. I also want to point out that I was right, right? I was right about how he had the setup of his parents' bodies with the candles around. It was performative. He did take them out to prove to whoever he was speaking to online that he was serious about the mission and serious about joining the organization of whatever they had planned. And the sacrifice of his parents was to show him that he is trustworthy, that he is willing to sacrifice things that are dear and important to him for the cause. He did it exactly for that. I don't think it was for financial gain, even though that's what the video essayist said, that after the FBI concluded their investigations that it was for financial gain. I don't think so, because he only had $14,000. He was running around with their ID, and he didn't even make way, or it seems like he wasn't even going to make way down to the South or anything. That $14,000 would have made he would have gotten more buck for his money going down south, or even going to South America, than him actually staying within the states. So I definitely do not believe that it was a financial situation at all. I don't. To me personally, and that's my opinion, right? I do believe that he did it because it was a initiation into whatever organization that he was talking to online. He had to take out his parents to show and prove that he was about it, right? Then I want to point out about the prosecutor. Okay, so I know a couple people were saying in the chat, wait, they gave him a deal? Let me explain why they gave him a deal, okay? In this situation, him being a young man, even though he is highly intelligent and highly dangerous, right? Just by even how he executed his parents, he's still a young man. And we do know that perception and appearance in our country means a big thing, right? Him being a young man, he would have garnered individuals, peers, you name it, people who would have been on his side saying, hey, listen, he's been a straight A student his whole entire life. And even though what he did was horrible, wicked, and cruel, I'm sure he feels guilty about it. I'm sure he was being manipulated because he's young. And that would have stirred the public opinion. It was in the best interest of the prosecutors not to go to trial with this individual, because he would have won over the public, okay? He would have won over the public. The media would have found ways to broadcast him as an angelic young man who had a bright future, great intelligence, and he just got, caught up with the wrong crowd that's online. And we see that this is prevalent with all our youth online, right? The amount of things that our youth are doing due to the fact that they have dopamine overload, okay, is a big thing that people are talking about, even in psychology, when it comes down to academia, even with debates in that, they're talking about the dopamine overload that the youth, Generation A, Generation Z, I think, or Y, I'm not sure. I think it was Z or Y, but one of them, they're overload with the amount of how they're getting information, whether or not if the information is correct or if it's not correct, whether or not if it's AI, like they're being thrown so many things that their minds is not necessarily processing it. It's just only going by what it seems. And if it seems that it's true, then it is true. So I think that they took all of that into consideration, and it would have just been better. Hey, let's offer him We don't go to trial. You don't have to face anyone. You don't have to speak to anyone about anything. Take this plea, do these counts. We're gonna go for the fullest extent of the law of how much we can charge you and convict you for, but it seals the deal, right? If they get 40 years, and I'm since they said it was March 2026, I just have to go and double check if he what he was given, right? Whether he was given the full extent of the law, or was they able to talk it down to, he gets probation after doing 21 years or 22 years, blah blah blah. I'll find out about that information in a couple of seconds. I'll just research it real quick while we're moving on to the next case. But I just wanted you guys to understand why the prosecutor did that. I know, looking at it from the outside in, it looks like, man, they went kitten gloves with him. They offered him, a deal when they didn't really even have to. They had all the evidence to just nail this dude or nail this boy for the to the wall. They was just thinking about, if they was to go to trial, the public get involved, the media get involved, and now him being strategic and being intelligent and cocky, him doing time, being detained while he's waiting, jail is going to change your mindset on a lot of things. We have seen plenty of people who went into prison thinking like it was nothing, and they come out looking like a little church mouse, okay? Jail is a different environment. It's a whole different reality in a whole different world. The things and the rules and guidelines we have in society outside does not look the same in jail, right? They have their own system, right? That's outside of anything that we can ever imagine, unless we have actually, went through that process. So they was afraid that after an amount of time of him being detained in prison, that he would change his story and say, no, I was abused by my parents. This is what they did to me, and all the stuff like that. And, after a while, time go by, how can you really even confirm that, right? He could say, oh, I was scared because of blah, 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 blah. I mean, if he was scared, like, how can you really, confirm that, right? So they just wanted to make sure that it was clean. This is what it is. He admits to doing this, and we can actually put this young man away, and hopefully he will get help or whatever therapy and everything he needs while he's in prison. But he's not coming out for a long time. I mean, if they go to the full extent, he can get 40 to 45 years, right? He's 17, so he won't be coming out until like what? 60, 62. Pretty much his whole life is pretty much over at this point anyway, right? And then we have to also take into consideration that he is a nationalized citizen. So him being a nationalized citizen and committing a crime, killing his parents, he can lose his citizenship. So then he would probably have to be deported. So they was looking at all of this, and they felt that this was the proper way to do. So I just wanted to do that. I know that was a lot, but I wanted to let you guys know why the prosecutors decide to move in this route, right? And sometimes we don't understand why, but it's really a good reason for it at the end of the day. All right, let's see. Sebastian said, "Yeah, I agree. I really don't see why they thought it was for. Yeah, I don't see why they thought it was for financial gain. I really don't, because it's not like he got away with $100,000, $200,000, $14,000, and you just running around 4 states that is literally right next to each other. That doesn't seem like a financial gain to me at all. It doesn't make any sense." All right, good folks. So I have another case for you. Go ahead and hit the like button for me. I truly, truly appreciate it. It does help the channel. And also share this out, right? Share this out to anyone who likes these immersive conversations where we discuss cases, old cases, new cases, current cases, you name it. We discuss it here. We dissect it here. And, if you have any case that you would like me to review on this channel, go ahead and put it in the comment section at the end of the live stream. I look at my comments and I put it in my little trusty books of all the cases that our subscribers and people who come in who wants me to review it. I put it in that book, and it will be on the list for us to discuss on this channel. All right. So the next case that I have for you good folks is about a Walgreens killer. Okay. Walgreens killer realizes she's never going home. First time I'm seeing it with you guys. So we're going to look at this. Let me go ahead and pull up my screen, and here we go. All right. Hope you guys can see this, and let's go.
On Christmas Day, police responded to reports of gunfire in the parking lot of a Walgreens. According to witness testimony, a woman was seated inside of her parked car with 5 young children in the back seat. For some unknown reason, she pulled out a handgun, walked over to another vehicle, and began firing through the windows. Inside the second vehicle was a man and a woman. Both were struck by the bullets. But the violence didn't stop there. After the shooting, the woman immediately fled the scene. As she sped out of the parking lot, her vehicle collided with another couple who had been sitting inside of their parked truck. Within minutes, police and emergency responders rushed to the scene, where they were confronted with a chaotic and disturbing situation. Multiple victims, shell casings scattered across the pavement, and witnesses trying to piece together what they had just seen. At the center of it all was a woman who had just fled the scene, with 5 children still inside of her vehicle. As the police processed the scene, an officer spoke with the couple, whose truck had been struck by the shooter as she was fleeing.
The worker was inside, heard shots, come out here to see what was going on.
And the other one came right out after
Another worker?
And he grabbed a hold of his arm and literally pulled him back in. And he told him, "You get the hell in there." And I looked over at Charles and I said, "They're shooting 5 shots at least."
Okay, and were you inside?
I was going in to go to the bathroom and I didn't even get out.
She ran back in the truck.
I said, "Somebody's getting shot."
Which one's your truck, by the way?
That over there. I said, "Something's wrong." I said, "That's the sound of a Glock to me."
Where was it parked?
It was
your truck.
Right here, backing out of the handicap
spot.
And that's when we both heard it, because he knows what they sound like.
Okay.
And I said, "Something's not right, Charles. Get back in the car." I said, "Because I'm getting out of here. I'm not getting involved."
So you got back in your
So
truck.
I got back in the car, and as soon as I got backed up, I got out of the corner of my eye that white vehicle coming around at a high rate of speed. He wanted me to chase after him. I said, "You're out of your mind. What if he starts shooting at us?" I said, "That's something I don't want to get involved with."
How many shots did you hear?
At least 5. I know I heard 5. Because he went, pow, like he had hit each one of them, and then all you heard was pow, pow, pow. The bumpers about it.
If you want to, claim it.
Yeah, because this right here is the only thing he did, thank God. I just happened to be pulled out enough that they just hit that. You can see all the white paint all over it.
Yeah.
Did she pass away?
I don't know.
I think she did herself.
I don't know what's happening, but...
After getting a description of the getaway vehicle, police immediately began searching the surrounding area for the shooter. Back at the Walgreens, officers began securing the crime scene and speaking with witnesses who had seen the attack unfold. Inside the store, investigators were able to review surveillance footage that captured the moments leading up to the shooting. The video showed a woman approaching the victim's vehicle before suddenly pulling out a handgun and opening fire. The footage provided something investigators desperately needed, a clear look at the suspect. Now police knew what the shooter looked like, and they also had a description of the vehicle she had fled in. With that information broadcast over the radio, officers in the surrounding area began scanning the road for the suspect's car. Officers spotted a vehicle matching the description and attempted to pull it over. Despite having 5 young children inside of her car, the suspect refused to pull over and led the police on a high-speed chase through the area. The chase finally came to an end when the lead officer forced the vehicle off the road. Officers surrounded the car and ordered the driver to step out. The driver was identified as 38-year-old Amanda Jansen. She was pulled from the vehicle and she was placed under arrest. Thankfully, all 5 of her children were uninjured. Amanda was put into the back of a patrol car and transported to the local police department. Investigators would soon begin asking the question that everyone wanted answered. Why did she do it?
All right, so far, this woman decides to unalive someone in Walgreens. We had a little body cam footage of the people that was there witnessing. She had 5 kids in the car. She wasn't trying to get out, but they was able to get her out. And I'm glad that, she was able to get out and no harm come to her or her kids, because we have seen plenty of stories where that didn't happen and the person didn't have to unalive someone for them to lose their life because they wouldn't get out the car. So I am, I'm happy. I'm happy because, I don't like anything, hearing anything bad about children. Y'all know that bothers me, right? But we already see that she's putting on the water wars, right? We got a crier here. Yes, exactly, Miss J. We definitely have a crier this time. So the first thing she started out saying is that, she's pretty much a victim of abuse and that she just snapped. I think that that's going to be the crust of her argument of why she did what she did. But we'll see. We'll see what else she has to say. Hey Jay, how are you? How are you? Happy Saturday, sir. Happy Saturday. I hope everything's well with you. I hope everything is well with you there. Let's go on.
The child, killed my child from him. I just couldn't take it no more. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to put you through this.
I hear you, and like I said, I'm not asking you any questions. I don't know what's going on, okay? But your kids are safe, okay? None of them are injured. They're with officers and detectives, okay? So they're safe. And if anything in relation to your kids, if I find anything else out, I'll let you know, okay?
Amanda was told to wait until the detectives were ready, and then she would be interviewed.
What's going to happen from here is you're hanging out while everybody is out there doing whatever they have to do, figure out exactly what's going on. And then when a detective gets here to talk to you, the detectives will come in and talk to you, and they will, ask what they need to ask, figure out your side of whatever's going on, okay? And then we'll go from there.
Miss Amanda, just do me a favor. We got your car in our custody. Is it still leased? No, I own it. You own it? Okay. So whoever is the next person, once we get done with it, Miss Lisa, contact her.
First,
do you have her number?
We always preach
I
that.
don't know about her. I don't know nobody's number.
Amanda was handcuffed and transported to another interrogation room, where detectives would be waiting. By this point, the female victim has passed away at the hospital. However, the male victim was still alive and would go on to make a full recovery. The male, Thomas Williams, told police that he and Amanda previously dated, and they had an 11-month-old daughter together. The female victim, Anna Terrell, was his new girlfriend, and Amanda hated her with a passion. Police discovered that Thomas had recently won 50-50 custody of their baby, and he and Anna were supposed to meet Amanda at Walgreens for the custody exchange.
I was actually just with your children personally, and they're okay. Obviously, they're very shaken. They're very upset.
I knew of him. I met him. Become homeless.
You had become homeless?
Yes, I had nowhere to go. He knew this. He took advantage of me. He beat me. When he found out I was pregnant, he wanted me to have an abortion, and I refused to. But he already plotted this before it even happened. Him and Anna.
Who's Anna?
Anna Terrell. She's the one who helped him with the casework or the case. And she's the one who has her handwriting, all the paperwork and all that. They have plotted this from day one. He even came to me and told me he was going to have my kids taken away in his. And I didn't do a damn thing to him. Nothing. I went and took care of my kids and got my kids from school and stressed about where we were going to go to and how I was going to take care of my kids. I never did nothing to him.
Miss Anna Sherrill, that's the lady that was in the car today?
I do not care about the relationship. I never have.
Okay.
I care about the well-being of my child.
I got that.
When he comes to me every day and he said, oh, Anna this, oh.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with the one and only in the chat. You should talk to a lawyer. This would be a good time for her to remain silent, but she's highly emotional. It seemed like she snapped, and she snapped because it seemed like the guy that she was with was pretty much getting everything, and he pretty much took everything away from her, right? And she was left with nothing. She was left to struggle as a single mother, and then even to the point where he was trying to take her kids away from her, according to her, right? According to her. But clearly, she set it up for them to exchange custody with the children, or for him to get, the children, and the neutral place was supposed to be Walmart, where he would come Now, I mean, would I say it's petty for him to come with his newfound girlfriend and wife? Yes. But nonetheless, he came with them, and that's why she, she shot both. But what she has to understand, and it's hard. It's really, really hard, right? I know I don't what's the word? I'm not saying that she's lying. That's what I mean. I don't think that she's lying at all. I do believe that he probably love bombed her. I do believe that he probably said that it was going to be them and the children, and it was going to be the new Brady Bunch to live happily ever after. I totally do believe that. I do believe that the relationship ended up not working out. You had already got a child from him. And at the process, when he found somebody else, I'm sure that the woman that he was dealing with, of course, she's going to help him with that situation. Because if they're now married, the situation or the setup that he has with you is going to affect their household because they're now married, right? So, of course, she was going to be involved. And I'm not trying to say that she probably didn't do anything that was, petty or, disrespectful or even rubbing it in your face, that y'all relationship has came to an end now. And that the only thing that is holding y'all together is the child. Probably was the main reason why he wanted the child, right? Because then he feels like he doesn't have to deal with you. He doesn't have to pay child support to you or anything of that sort, because he can take care of his own child, and if his child's on his household. And even if I understand all of that, that still does not give you the right to unalive him and to unalive the wife either, right? It really doesn't. And I understand, it is in a way, it does seem like, you're hell-bent or this person intentionally tried to destroy your life. And some of these men, they do know that that's exactly what they're doing when they are out here, right? When they are out here moving the way that they move, and they know that they're intentionally destroying your life or putting a real burden on you because of what our societal norms is, right? And how you're going to be perceived if you're in this type of situation. So I completely understand that. But it still does not give you the right to unalive him. If he was beating on you, then I wouldn't, and I'm not going to even say that he probably didn't put his hands on her, because I don't know that. We don't know that, right? But my thing is that if he was beating on you, then good riddance that you're no longer in a relationship with him. You supposed to be saying, oh, good luck to you, Godspeed to you, to the new woman, right? If you know that about him and she's okay with it, that's just her. That's her burden that she has to deal with now, dealing with this man, dealing with this, how he can turn, very cruel and evil, or, petty, you know what I'm saying? She's going to have to deal with all those negative things that comes with him now. It's not a prize, right? And if anything, she did you a favor and took him off, took him off your hands, right? So you shouldn't be upset about that. But I do believe that she is hurt about it, because that was like one of the first things that she brought up initially talking to the detectives, is that he beat me, he did this, he made my life miserable and all this stuff like that. So she is still hurt in regards of what happened to them and why they're not together. And it didn't help the fact that she lost custody of her child that she shared with him. So those are, that definitely gives intent, right? And we always talk about intent here. There's three things that, builds a case for prosecutors. You need intent, you need opportunity, and you need means. She already qualified for the three things that we needed. The intent was losing custody of your child that you share with this man, all right? Opportunity was you were supposed to pretty much hand over your child over to him because he now won custody, full custody. So that was supposed to be the exchange of the child at Walmart. That's the opportunity, right? You was able to have access to him. Then we have means. You shot him. You had a weapon. A weapon was at your disposal. So you fit the three qualifications of a case, really, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can explain away you can beg for the empathetic ear about you, you being a scorned woman who was done wrong by a man, but it still doesn't justify you shooting him and taking his life or taking his newfound wife life. It doesn't. At the end of the day, it really doesn't. And even though the detectives are going to seem very empathetic and sympathetic to you, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Let's see. Brucey said, fellas, man up. Man, listen, you talking to the choir.
Oh, Anna, Anna was not fit to be around my child, okay? Anna is a female narcissist. She fears her children. She fears her female child, which means her female child is out to harm her, hurt her.
She thinks that?
Yes, that's what females do. Both of them are narcissists, okay? But I don't care.
Anna, right?
Yes, I don't care who he was in a relationship with. I just needed to keep my children under.
Can I ask you a question about this? I know that now that you know everything and that everything's come full circle, like I know you had instincts and stuff but now that you know for sure that he was in this relationship with her, are you comfortable telling me that, like, at the time maybe it doesn't matter, but that it did bother you a little bit? Like, you ever had feelings for this guy, or not at all? I'm just curious, like, because it doesn't matter one way or another.
I did grow to love him, even though he did,
which is natural, truly.
But their relationship has nothing to do with the safety of my child.
Sure,
nothing.
Right, no, I get that.
I care about the relationship. Okay. I care about the well-being of my child. I knew about that from day one.
Okay.
Amanda claims that both Thomas and Anna conspired against her to get custody of her baby. She initially claimed that her only concern was for the safety of her children, but then she admits that she did love Thomas at one point. This statement will go a long way when prosecution tries to prove intent.
Now, as soon as my housing came open to where I have a residence at now, he put his hands on me, I left and I didn't go back. Now, in the meanwhile of me leaving and didn't go back, I did find out about him being a child. His mom was the one who opened up the can of worms. And I even stood up in court and I told the courts that he beat me because of her. He beat me. He told me he beat me one day when I was walking out the door because I disrespected her. And he took everything from us, my kids' brand new bikes, everything. When I tell you, he put us through some shit.
What time did you leave the house today? And did you leave with the kids? All of them?
I don't know.
And did you leave specifically to go to the Walgreens, or did you have other places that you had gone this morning? Were you going to take the other kids somewhere else after? What was, like, the game plan as far as the kids knew?
The kids didn't know anything. My plan was to take them to Yurley's house. But it didn't work that way. What I was going to do is not even show up. But I was trying to overcome my fear and do what the judge said, so I wouldn't lose custody of my child.
Right. Well, what was the custody agreement anyhow?
He got every other week.
He's never laid a hand on the kids. Why not just let him watch his daughter 50-50? I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
He doesn't have any water in his house.
But the mom...
He has wires hanging out his house, electricity wires. My 1-year-old, he goes to work all the time. His mother is not capable physically.
Why is that?
His mother left my 3-month-old.
I was thinking leave without pay, but
she went all the way to Hawthorne to get them from school and came back and my baby was hanging off the bed. And she brought me laughing.
For now, the detectives have finished establishing motive, so they decide to move on to the shooting itself. Where did she get the gun? Was it planned? These questions and more will determine if Amanda will get first or second degree murder.
Right. Where'd you get this gun?
I bought it from the pawn shop, but I bought it for protection because everybody in the neighborhood was trying to jump me.
At Marywood?
Yes. I made so many reports, man. They harassed the hell out of us so much.
Why?
Because I was white, because I am white.
Yeah. Who decided on Walgreens? The court?
He did.
Okay.
He decided everything. They went with him on everything.
But it was in the court papers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where do you keep the ammunition for your gun?
With me.
What do you mean?
On me, I sleep with it.
You sleep with the ammunition, but not with the gun?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I normally sleep with both of them, but I just...
Well, you see, now I gotta call you out on your time.
Because it's every night I do something different. Okay, I will have it in my trunk, or if I'm out and about, I have it on me. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have put it under my pillow. Sometimes I have put my whole purse under my pillow. Sometimes I left all of it in the trunk, I lock my door, and went to sleep with my key. I done did quite a few things.
Can I ask you a question, and you be honest with me, because you're gonna you're not gonna want to say this, but you a little bit jealous of this Anna lady.
No,
come on, wait, hold on, before you answer,
I'm telling you what's not happening.
Okay, hold on, before you answer.
Everything I told you is the truth.
I got you. I'm just saying, but it's almost like you gotta have some negativity.
No, I was telling you what I went through.
But based on what you went through, I'm saying I believe that you're giving me facts.
This man told me this. What I just told you.
So it's safe to say you don't like Anna. I mean, she's ringleading all this negativity in your life, and she took your child.
So the suspect, she's really harping on the fact that she doesn't want to seem like she was a bitter baby mama who seek revenge on her father of her child due to the fact of his new relationship with the woman. But the only problem is that you already let these two detectives know how much you loathed and hated Anna, right? That's the new girl, the new wife. You hated her. You even went to the extent to talk about her relationship dynamics with her own children, right? For someone who said that she didn't care about his relationship or him being in another relationship, and that everything was all about the protection and the safety of my children, it doesn't really correlate. It doesn't really correlate. You're more concerned about their relationship and them and him actually being together with this woman than your actual children, right? You made it seem that your children was in danger, but yet the courts said that it was perfectly fine for him to have 50-50 custody with you on your daughter, right? He has never hurt your daughter, nor did he hurt your other children when y'all were together. And you confirmed that, right? Even though you did try to say that he has abused you before, whether it's verbal abuse, physical abuse. You did say that he did have verbal, and physical abuse towards you, right? And I understand that, right? There is a danger there. I'm not going to deny that, right? If you're abusive to your spouse, most times you're going to be abusive to your children. Children get abused far more than spouses do, right? Because they're young, right? They're young, they're not strong enough, they get taken advantage of all the time, right? By any form of adult, so someone that's bigger than them, right? Knows more than them, they always getting taken advantage of. There's so many different levels of child abuse that we don't even talk about. We only talk about the most egregious ones if we see something that like bodily harm that is done to children. But children are mentally harmed every single day. Every single day. But the point is, you were jealous. You made it very clear to these detectives that you was jealous about the relationship. The fact that you even brought it up because it looks like you were jealous about the situation, the relationship of him getting with someone else. So that's why you are like, no, it wasn't about the relationship. It was about protecting my kids. Ma'am, how can you really sit there and really, make yourself believe that it was all about the protection of your kids? But if you now are getting arrested, you're now detained, you now probably have to go to trial, for murder. How do you think you're protecting your kids in that situation? How? How do you think if you think that your children are in a better, productive, healthy, and safe environment with you, how is that supposed to happen if you have to go away? If that little girl's father is gone now, because you took her away from her. Who's going to watch her when you're in jail? Family? Grandmother? Sister? I thought that you was the better choice. I thought you was the better choice. You don't become the better choice if now you're not even able to do that anymore. So for even in that, for her not to even think about that there's a possibility now for what you did, you're not even going to be there to be the mother to your children. And then now your children can actually be split up, right? Because it's obvious that your children don't have the same father. So that means that they're going to other family members, complete strangers. They're going to other family members. They might be split up. They might not be around each other. Shoot. And if those family members decide, right, they decide that they don't want to take care of your kids, you know where your kids are going? Group home. You know where your kids are going? Adoption. They're going to become wards of the state. And you think that that is a better position for your children than how they are right now. Who knows? If we find out anything else about you, you know, having a drug addiction or anything of that sort, then probably they would be in a better situation than being with you. Or if you're not financially stable and you can't really provide for them, that could be a better situation for them. But most of the time, I think the courts even believe too that children are better with their parents. Children are better with their parents. Let's see. Jay Go Texas says she's complaining about wiring at his house, but thinks a unsecure loaded gun is completely okay. The hypocrisy is always impressive. I agree, Jay. I agree. Absolutely. She admitted herself that she puts the gun and the ammo in all these different places, and you already have an 11-month-old child, right? That's your youngest child. You think that they can't swallow a bullet? You think they're not going to be able to touch a bullet or touch a gun? But you have it, readily available for the 5 children that you have in your house to access your gun and your ammunition, right? Mark says she was very jealous of her and him. I agree, Mark. I agree. Shout out to you. Happy Saturday. Bama said watching up Dateline NBC. I hear you. You've been on your Dateline NBC, rerun. Mark says she got kids and she's going to prison for a long time. Yeah, it definitely seems that way. Stage Strong said almost every female murderer claims to be abused by their man or abusive towards their children. A lot do. I would agree. A lot do. I'm not going to say that some of the cases aren't true, but yes, a lot do make those claims. I will admit that. To all of you young and remember, knowledge is power. I agree. Brucey said, growing up, we didn't talk about our feelings. It was you don't speak until you're spoken to. And when the grown-ups are talking, leave. Agreed, Brucey. I grew up in the same thing. Moa says she never cared about them kids. I agree. I mean, I do believe that she cared about her kids, but not more than she cared about herself and her emotions and how she felt about the situation. Bama said Bruce might make a point. Our generation was taught that. Yes, definitely. Bruce said, you're right. So we weren't that way with our kids. We give our kids what we didn't have: emotional support, technology, being told we are proud of them. We forgot how to discipline. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. Yeah. People need to lock that damn weapon up. I do agree too. They do need to lock up that weapon. But let's go on.
How about doing the paperwork?
After spending nearly an hour trying to get Amanda to admit that she was jealous of Anna, and she resented her, the detectives finally asked her to talk about what happened earlier that day. They believe that Amanda planned the murder because prior to arriving at Walgreens, she gave her oldest son all of her cash and her debit card.
So let's talk about what happened today. Right. All right. So we talked about how all the kids were in the car. Mm-hmm. And you had not confirmed via the app that you were showing up, but you knew that that was the time and place.
Yeah, I didn't know from.
Okay, and you're saying at no point since the December 20th court date have you talked to Thomas about his pickup?
No.
Okay. Now, one thing I was trying to set up is to understand, you said, and we talked about this at length, that we're kind of trying to get to the nitty gritty about where you keep the gun. And at first you said just the trunk, and then you said, well, even if the gun's not with you, you sleep with the ammunition, which I didn't really understand. And you said, well, sometimes I keep it in the bag, in the car, in the trunk, under my pillow, but like, I get that, but at first you said just the trunk.
I was had it for quite a few months, so it's been in them places.
Have you ever shot the gun before today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you ever shot a gun before today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So where was the gun at last night? In the trunk. In the trunk.
Where were the magazines?
In the trunk.
In the gun?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 3 magazines.
No, not in the gun. No, I never keep them together. Never. Okay, so I never keep them loaded, is what I'm saying. What type of bag was it in? Or was it in the bag gun case? There's a white bag with like bluish circles on it. And that was last night? Mm-hmm. Okay, when did you grab the gun today? When I got it ready to get in the car. I had in the car where? When I got ready to leave.
Amanda just admitted that prior to leaving her home to make her way to Walgreens, she removed the firearm from her trunk and concealed it on her body. This shows plain.
So the video essayist was about to say it, but I'm going to say it. Her just telling that little detail confirmed that she planned it. Now they know exactly how to charge her. First-degree murder. If you had the gun in your truck with the ammo, you said that you always keep it separate. You never have a mag inside the gun. That means that you intentionally put the mag inside the gun prior to going to Walmart. You said that you didn't even speak to your husband in regards of like initially saying, hey, we're going to be meeting up by the court order at the Walmart at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. You just went in, got the kids in, and you literally took the gun out of the truck and had it on the side of you while you was driving with your kids. You show that it was premeditated because you knew what you was doing. You cannot even lie and say that you had a mental episode and you just spaz out of control, because you confirm your natural thing that you do is you keep your gun in your truck and you keep the ammo and the gun separated. So my mind is going to be like, okay, so what made you take the gun out of its place where you normally keep it? What made you take the gun, put it on the side of you, load the gun, and then go into the Walmart? And if you say anything else outside of because I was planning to kill the father of my child, I know that you're full of shit, and so do they know that you're full of shit. You just sealed the deal. At first, they didn't know. They still didn't know if this was second-degree murder, right, or even manslaughter. But you gave them, out of your own mouth, you gave them the confirmation that they needed, that you intended to shoot him. So now it's first degree. Now it's first degree. Out of your mouth, you gave them this information. And this is why I and everybody on this channel said, cállate o boca, right? We say, keep your mouth closed. Get a lawyer, right? Don't let your emotions get the best of you, because these people are not your friends. They're here to get the truth and they're here to get the evidence, okay? They're here working with the prosecutor to build the case. So whatever you say to them, if it makes you look like an angel, great. If it makes you look like a devil, even better. But the law and justice is supposed to bring justice, right? According to the Lord's, right? Incident happened, a tragedy happened, you know, there has to be some type of resolvement of that. And that's what they're here for. And I don't know. It's a little upsetting and annoying to me because you could just tell that everything that she did was emotional based and logic went out the window for her. It was all about her feelings because the biggest kicker for me, and this is me just speaking as a mom, right? The biggest kicker for me was the fact that you saying that you did all this for your kids, but now your kids are not going to be around you. Now you're not going to be able to watch your kids grow up. You're not going to be able to watch your kids go to school, graduate, probably not even, probably marry and start their own family. You threw that all away and you said it was for the safety of them. How? How? Because I haven't seen it yet. But let's go on.
Planning and intent.
And there's 3 magazines. Were they all 3 out of the gun when you left?
Yes.
Okay, so you leave your house.
No, there was, one of them was in the gun.
I'm struggling here because you said you don't put them in the gun.
I usually don't, but I did last night.
Is it because you knew you were going to see Thomas today?
No, I was going to go to the country and shoot it because I've never shot it before.
Today. All right, well, I'm going to have to stop you right here. If I had $1 for every time someone was in a shooting and told me they were going to go shoot it in the woods, we've made it this far and you need me to believe you. If you decide to take, no, let me finish. If you decide to take a turn right now, that is not a good idea. If you think that I'm going to believe that you put, ma'am, you got to let me talk. If you think that I'm going to believe that last night, that you never keep the magazines in the gun, but last night you put the magazine in the gun because you plan to go shooting in the country today, when not once have you mentioned that today, but you just so happened to shoot 2 people today, that's not believable. At least try something believable. So let's back up.
That's not believable to you.
No, it's not
but it is
to the world at large.
I've been thinking about going out to the country ever since I got it to shoot it because I've never shot it before.
Christmas Day when you bring your daughter
to... yesterday. I was supposed to do it. I never got around to doing it. I ended up cooking all day.
Girl, shut up. Shut up. No one is going to believe that. Out of all the days, you just told them that you shot a gun before. You just told them that you never shot this weapon before. You just told them that your normal habit is to keep the gun in the truck, separated from the ammunition. And then when the end of the day happens, sometimes you'll bring the ammunition with you and put it under your bed, your pillow, whatever, not of that sort. Now, all of a sudden, you're supposed to be going shooting. You're supposed to be going shooting. And the crazy thing about it is, it wasn't that day that you were supposed to go shooting. And that's the reason why you decided to load the weapon last night. You knew, court order, that you were supposed to go meet your husband and his new wife at Walgreens and make the exchange of handing over your child because it was his time, court ordered, to have his child. That is what you did know, right? You can't even tell them when you was actually about to go shooting. You're not saying, oh, I was going to go shooting later on today. No, what did you say? Oh, I was thinking about, you know what? I want to go to the shooting range and I decided to put, that night, I decided to just, load my weapon. What? What? Are you kidding me, lady? No one is going to believe that. You just decided to throw that I was going to the shooting range in because you now know that they're starting to look at premeditated murder, that you planned on killing him at the meetup. That's why now you're trying to paint it as, no, that wasn't my intention. I had no, I wasn't thinking to use the weapon on him or her at all. Like, girl, it's terrible. Bama said she just happened to put the bullets the night before the person shot very sus, because she's lying. She just realized that, that doesn't sound good. It's something rung in her, and she was like, I gotta add something in there because it does look like I literally planned on killing him and her from the get-go. That's all she did. And that's why the detective called her out, because they're like, hey, listen, I truly believed you this whole entire time. I truly believed you that, everything else that you said, but now you're trying to make it seem like, it's not what it is. And it's clearly exactly what it is. What the evidence speaks for is clearly what it is. You intended to shoot them. That's just what it is.
Okay, so the gun was in the trunk.
But it was in the trunk.
Okay.
I did take it out.
Mm-hmm. You took it out when?
No.
Take your time.
It was, no. I did plan on doing it. I didn't put it together until...
Amanda realizes that she just painted herself into a corner.
I think I put it together at CVS, I think. But I have had plans to go shoot it. I really did.
So you put it together at CVS, or was it in the trunk?
No, it was on my arm.
Okay, how about
was sitting there.
So we won't interrupt you.
My
Because I don't think we got a full from point A to point B.
Right, you saying that you guys are part of that.
Yeah, so let's not interrupt.
Right, check it out.
And let's hear your side of the story of what happened when you left your house to the time that the police stopped.
I don't even know. I left my house. I got to CVS. I was about to go down that road to go this way, and I realized what time it was. Give me a second. I circled Walgreens a couple times. I had videotaped it because I was about to leave, and I'll be damned if they didn't pull up. It scared the shit out of me. I put my car in reverse and I made a little circle. And he jumped out and was recording me and saying something. And I just panicked.
You panicked and did what?
Jumped out the car. You seen this on video?
I want to hear from you though, because we're here now.
Yeah, I think I'm done talking. Y'all see me on video.
Okay.
Now she done talking? Girl.
Amanda was originally charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and 5 counts of child neglect. But when she realized that she could not win at trial, she took a plea deal to avoid life in prison. Amanda was sentenced to 40 years in Florida State Prison. What are your thoughts on this case? Please share them in the comments below.
Yeah, 40 years is a good amount of time from this lady. She has to pay for the consequences of letting her anger, jealousy get the best of her, right? We can clearly see that she did it out of spite and out of resentment and anger of the guy moving on. And now she's a mother of 5 children and she's already struggling. And, she was really upset about that. And listen, at the end of the day, I understand exactly where she's coming from, but that still doesn't make it right, right? It really doesn't make it right. I don't know. I don't care how we try to swing it. It's not justified. I can definitely admit that he probably did put you in a bad situation. And that, you was hopeful for this relationship and everything of that sort. And then it didn't turn out the way you want to. And I could say that he probably manipulated the situation, whatever. All those things can be true, but it doesn't justify taking their lives. And you had a lot of hatred for this woman named Anna that you didn't know nothing about, but only the fact that she was with the man that you just had a kid with 11 months ago, right? And that your relationship was over and he ends up marrying her and didn't marry you. It was smart for her to take the plea deal. It really was. Especially learning that they're in Florida. Cow. It was really smart for her to go ahead and take the plea deal. But like I said, it's just bad and it's unfortunate for the children because she has 5 children. Now 5 children don't have their mom, right? One child, your youngest one, don't have neither of their parents. And we clearly know that, that child might be separated, right? That child might have to go to family members or go to group home and be, get adopted, all because of you not getting in control of your anger and your emotions, right? And I'm not saying that your anger and your emotions is not warranted. They really are warranted, right? But you have to look at the bigger picture in a situation. Now you put your children in danger, far more danger than you was trying to let the detectives believe that they were in danger. They don't have you anymore. One lost their father. They can be split up. All kinds of things can happen to them now, right? Being put into the system. So many things can happen. And guess what? You're not there to help them. You're not there to get them through it. You're not there to be supportive. You can't do nothing for them. At this point, you have to literally protect yourself and worry about your survival while you're in prison. And you got to do that for 40 years. So like I said, you missed everything. You missed all the great things that's going to happen with your children, right? All the good times, all the bad times where they're going to need their mother. You're not going to be a part of it. So at the end of the day, was it worth it? Was it truly worth it acting on your emotions, of a sour relationship that came to the end? Or, was this the right choice? That's something that she has a lot of time now going forward to figure out for herself. It's just a shame that everybody else has to participate in it. Miss J said, lady, right? Lady, okay? Like, man, listen, child. All right. So I have one more case for you good folks. Make sure you're hitting the like button for me. Truly appreciate it. It helps the channel. Or you can hit the down button. It still helps the channel. Share this out to anyone who is interested in these immersive type of conversations where we go over old cases, current cases, new cases, cold cases, you name it. We do it here. And if you have any cases that you would like us to review on this channel, at the end of the live stream, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I always look at my comments and I heart them and I'll put it in my trusty book and it will be on the list for us to review later on in the day. So I don't want to take up any more of your time because like I said, it's Saturday. It's starting to warm up. We're definitely in spring. I hope everybody had a good Friday, right? And they're preparing themselves for Easter tomorrow. It's going to be wonderful. Right? So I hope everybody's preparing for that. I have one last but not least case for you guys, and we're going to review it. It's about how a wife poisoned her husband to hide her evil secret. When I saw this, it was quite interesting. And shout out to the channels that I'm using their cases today. I am using Beyond Evil and Red Tree Crime. Shout out to these channels. Go ahead and subscribe to them. They do very good videos. I love their video essays. They're really easy to dissect. And I enjoy the fact that they allow me to use their content to review. And, I hope that we can continue on our collaboration on that, right? So shout out to them. Truly appreciate them. Let me go ahead and pull this up, then we can get into it. All right. Hope you can see my screen. And here we go.
By 2017, Natalie and Michael Cochran were living the American dream. But even so, comfortable upper-middle-class lives were never enough for the ambitious go-getters like them. Later that year, they started a new business that promised to make them rich beyond their wildest dreams. But a few months and more than $2 million later, the facade they had worked so hard to construct began to crumble like a house of cards. Even so, neither Michael nor any of his friends or family members could have imagined what lengths Natalie would go to cover up the grand deception. Before we begin, we would like to express our sincere condolences to the victim's family for their loss. Natalie and Michael grew up in rural Raleigh County, West Virginia, not far from Virginia to the east and Kentucky to the west. Natalie's parents described her as a smart, quiet, and good-natured child who rarely caused them any trouble. On the other hand, Michael was a die-hard jock and outdoorsman who loved playing baseball, fishing, hunting, and roughhousing with his friends. He and Natalie were polar opposites in many respects, but even so, they started dating seriously in high school. After graduation, Michael attended West Virginia University in Morgantown, where he played baseball and studied information technology. Natalie went to another university, but she eventually transferred to WVU to be with Michael, and because it had a solid pharmacy program. Michael's parents loved Natalie, but they were a little surprised that she moved into the mobile home they had bought for him to use while he was in school. They liked visiting Michael whenever they could, but after Natalie moved in, they often got pushed to the side when her parents were there. As expected, Michael and Natalie eventually got married and had 2 kids of their own. Michael worked in IT while Natalie was a pharmacist for a local healthcare provider. Things were definitely going well, and when they weren't working, they spent as much time together as they could doing things as a family. Michael particularly enjoyed coaching his kids' sports team, and whenever he had free time, he worked out, competed in tough man competitions, and did whatever else he could do to look his best. He was technically a bodybuilder or an MMA fighter, but he took a fair amount of supplements and even used steroids that he had bought online from a supplier in Mexico. In 2017, Natalie quit her job as a pharmacist because she wanted to dedicate her time to starting a new company called Tactical Solutions Group, or TSG. By then, Natalie and Michael had been talking about going into business for themselves for quite some time. At least on the outside, their business model was refreshingly simple. Their plan was to land lucrative state and federal weapons and tactical gear contracts by underbidding the competition. Natalie and Michael didn't have any experience with government contracts or buying and selling weapons for the military and law enforcement agencies. Nonetheless, they were confident that their hard work and dedication would eventually pay off. But first, they needed operating capital. In the early going, Natalie focused on convincing her friends and family members to invest in their promising startup. She even told them that she and Michael had gotten the idea after watching the dark comedy War Dogs starring Jonah Hill and Miles Teller. She even said that they planned on making their new employees watch the movie as part of a training and onboard video process. Of course, most of the prospective investors were skeptical that a cheesy movie could be the basis for a successful business. One woman even reminded Natalie that the main characters in that movie went to jail at the end. It took a lot of convincing, but Natalie and Michael assured everyone that they knew what they were doing and that it was only a matter of time before the contracts and money started rolling in. Michael's mother, Donna Bolt, was one of the first investors. She ultimately coughed up nearly $250,000, and she wasn't the only one. Other friends and family members made hefty 6-figure investments as well. Now flush with other people's money,
all right, so far so good. This seems like a very ambitious, good-looking couple, right? They're educated. The guy is successful. He's also into fitness. She seems like she was, she takes good care of herself, and she went to school and got her degree in pharmacy. So it seemed like they're a up and up couple, right? What we would expect for our couples, today. We want 2 couples that are seen to be ambitious on the same level, taking care of their kids and, doing great things for each other. Then she decided that she didn't want to be a pharmacist anymore. She wanted to be a business owner. Nothing strange about that. We all take different career paths in our lives, right? We think that we want to do this, we do it for a while, we try it, and then we realize that, it's not really for us, and we want to navigate into other environments. This is very, 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 very normal. My only concern is with the business that she was trying to do, right? Like, there's a lot of tactical businesses that I buy and purchase my military gear and things and stuff from. Shout out to them. Shout out to them. And I wanted to also look at this because hers was TSG, and it sounded quite similar to a tactical website that I use, but they was trying to win government contracts. Now, if you don't know about government contracts, that you can win a lot of money, right? You can get a lot of money to fit a service to the military, things of that sort. There's a way that you have to do it. There's a way how you have to present yourself when it's time to present your plan of business and stuff like that. And it seemed like their tactic was, hey, if we take less than anybody else is offering to do the same type of service, we will most likely be in a better situation than our competitors. And it does seem, logical from the outside in, but truly it takes a lot to deal with the manufacturing of technical gear, weapons, ammunition, all that stuff like that to be approved that the military can use. A lot of people don't know that you just can't be any old willy-nilly business and the military is like, okay, we're going to just use your business. No, it has to go through a lot of regulation. It has to be approved. It has to be approved by the guidelines and the regulations within the military to be used or to be issued to military members and stuff. A lot goes in to government contracts and who gets approved and who doesn't. I mean, I'm sure that's a little bit different now, right? We see a little bit more nepotism being used when it comes down to contracts, but the history of these type of contracts, there's a lot of things that has to be in place first before someone actually sign off on a contract. And if you do have a small business, I will suggest you should definitely go after these government contracts, right? They're more concrete than just going after a contract with just a private company, right? Or a private group, right? You will probably have far less competitors. And if you do a really good job, you can pretty much extend your contract, or you're most likely will be used the go-to business that the government would use, if you do an excellent job. I really do suggest people who have like businesses like laundromats and even food services of things that I saw. Those are the type of businesses that I suggest should be looking for a government contract. If you want, and this is only for the ones who are interested, if you have a small business and you want to get into winning or finding out how to get government contracts, there's a great woman that's online right now. I think her name is Ashley. Shout out to her. I follow her. She's a military veteran, and she literally does train individuals to take businesses and learn and tell you how to win government contracts. So you should definitely check her out if you're interested in that. All right. But to go back to the content, like I said, everything seems very normal, but the only problem is that what they was trying to dabble into, the fact that they used a movie reference that made them want to get into this business, and the fact that they initially asked their family members to be the angel investors in large amounts, especially I guess his mother, right? 250,000, and I'm sure she believes in her son, and I know she was willing to do it, and that's great. But she seems like she's a woman of older age. She has to be really concerned that she is going to get she's going to get her investment back and then some, because she has retirement and living expenses that she's going to have to deal with. And it doesn't mean that she's not going to be able to jump back into the workforce, and that money has to be used properly. So that's a little concerning for me. But truly, when you do start these type of businesses, you do start with friends and family supporting you initially first, right? So that's not too out of the norm. It's just that when it comes down to this type of government contracting and knowing how how volatile it is, it's raising red flags for me. I don't know if it's raising red flags to anyone else, but it's raising red flags to me. But let's go on. Let's go on. Oh, wait, hold on. Hi, I truly believe, do you? Hi, how you doing? I'm not Laura Hill, but I'll take it as a compliment. Shout out to you and happy Saturday.
Natalie and Michael went on a lavish and ostentatious spending spree of epic proportions. In a matter of months, they had bought cars, boats, motorcycles, expensive jewelry, 2 properties, and a 1965 Shelby Cobra, none of which had anything to do with their business. And to top it all off, they took their kids on high-dollar vacations to Paris and Hawaii. In Paris, Michael's daughter Nicole said she regularly bought luxury goods at uber-exclusive shops like Louis Vuitton. And when they got back to the States, Natalie promptly applied for a $100,000 loan from a local bank. She even claimed that TSG had business assets worth more than $500 million. But unbeknownst to Natalie, she was already the subject of a financial investigation. However, it had nothing to do with TSG or the luxury goods that she and Michael had purchased with investors' money. Instead, it stemmed from tens of thousands of dollars that had recently gone missing from a Little League baseball fund for which Natalie was the treasurer. Before long, a private investigator uncovered more than $30,000 worth of fraudulent purchases that were allegedly made with the money from the Little League Fund. By then, dozens of TSG investors were also starting to wonder if they had been duped and if they would ever see their hard-earned money again. When they confronted Natalie, she asked them to be patient and told them a number of payments that had been delayed due to bureaucratic red tape and government shutdowns should be coming in. At one point, she even claimed that she had cancer and that the treatment was preventing her from spending as much time on the business as she wanted to. By then, Natalie and Michael had blown through much of the $2.5 million they had taken from family members and lifelong friends. As such, Natalie was also trying to secure additional capital from a team of business bankers at a Bank of America branch in Charlottesville, Virginia. On the morning of Wednesday, February the 6th, 2019, she and Michael were supposed to fly there to finalize the deal. At that point, no money had changed hands because the application wasn't quite finished just yet. But as close as they were to getting the additional money they so desperately needed, Natalie and Michael never got on the plane. Later that morning, she told her family that she and Michael both had horrible flu-like symptoms. She even texted Michael's mother a picture of him slumped over on the kitchen table. Michael's mother begged Natalie to take him to the hospital immediately, but she said she didn't want to go and that he'd probably be better in a day or two. But later that day, a number of friends found Michael in a comatose state when they stopped by the house to see how they were.
All right, so they was out there, faking it until they make it. They got everybody. They even got banks and everybody involved to pretty much put up the capital for their business. They did not necessarily. It doesn't seem like they necessarily got the contract, the government contract, right? Because if she's out there telling the investors that, hey, the money should be coming in soon, but it haven't came in from the government contracts, that means that it was still going through the process. It wasn't officially approved where they set aside a certain amount of funds to to fund this particular group. And now it seems that instead of you actually utilizing the money that you was given from your investors to get, product, right, to get inventory and things of that sort, or even to market, your business, right? Because you can use some of that funds for marketing purposes. Instead of you doing that, no, you're going out there buying luxury cars and buying fancy clothes and stuff like that, and taking extravagant trips and everything, faking it like you make it. And then it got to the point where when you went through all the money, you still needed to maintain appearance. So you went running around to different banks, pretty much giving them a fake portfolio about how much of an asset your company was worth, and pretty much giving them a promise letter saying, hey, listen, my company is worth such and such amount. If you let me borrow this amount, you'll get that and interest and all the stuff like that. And it was going through a process, but it wasn't enough and it wasn't quickly. And then it does seem like the investors and everybody else started to wonder, wait a minute, why I see that your living expenses have increased, your quality of life have increased, but we're not seeing any money from our investment. You told us by you getting the contract by June of 2026, we will be receiving dividends of such and such amount, right? And we will have stock ownership in the company. It didn't happen. And they were seeing you're growing, your house is growing, the amount of cars you're growing, all your assets is getting bigger, and they're like, what the hell is going on? So it seems to me, and this is my theory. It seems to me the heat was getting come onto her because she was already under investigation from the mishandling and the misuse of money for the Little League that she was the treasurer for, right? So it was already about to heat up. Her and her husband have already used majority of the 2.1%. She went in there trying to get $100,000 loan. And it was still in the process. So at this point, I think that they were almost like dirt broke, right? Just dirt broke. And she had to find a way to try to get money or to get them out of the zero, right? So it seems to me that she probably poisoned her husband, right? Because him being in tech and stuff like that, I'm sure he had life insurance. They seem like the type of people that would have life insurance. He probably had a life insurance of over $250,000 or $550,000. That would be a good amount of money that she would need, right? Especially if people are complaining that they haven't gotten a payout yet for this quote unquote company business of hers. So I think that was the main catapult of her. If she is found the one that killed her husband, that would make perfect sense, right? Because we have already established intent, or what we would say motive, opportunity. You live in the same house as him. You probably cooked all the meals, or or administer the medicine if people are sick. And the means, right? You probably got a hand of some form of poison, or you could use any normal household products as poison if they're consumed, right? So that's my theory. I think that that's what it was. She decided, listen, I have to get myself out the bind because I'm already being looked at for the money, the $30,000 that I took from the Little League. And then he probably don't even know about that. I don't even think he knows about that, right? So she was like, listen, I got to kill two birds with one stone. I don't want him to find out. I don't want him, we all going to be held accountable, things of that sort. And she felt that this was the right way to go. That's what it seems to me. I can always be wrong, but that's what I think. Kamikaze said, a big fat IOU. Right, exactly. That does not sound right. Good. No, it doesn't. It definitely doesn't. But let's go on.
One of the visitors was a family friend and physician's assistant, Stephanie Hamilton, who told Natalie that Michael was in bad shape and that she needed to take him to the hospital ASAP. Natalie eventually gave in and took Michael to a nearby emergency room where doctors quickly diagnosed him with severe swelling of the brain and dangerously low blood glucose. This was odd because Michael wasn't diabetic, but Natalie told them that he regularly took insulin because it had anabolic properties. By then, Michael's mother was beside herself with grief, but Natalie told her not to come to the hospital because she said she was the only one allowed in the room. Even so, Michael's mother drove to the hospital anyway, and to her surprise, the staff immediately let her in to see her son. As soon as she entered the room, she noticed that Natalie wasn't behaving like a concerned wife. In fact, she found her lack of concern and matter-of-fact attitude maddening, inappropriate, and downright suspicious. 38-year-old Michael Cochran occasionally moved and responded to stimuli over the next few days, but he never regained consciousness and died in hospice on Monday, February the 11th of 2019. Since the doctors thought he died of natural causes, no autopsy was performed. Natalie and Michael had been married for 19 years at the time of his death. Per his last wishes, the family only held a private graveside ceremony instead of a traditional.
So that bothers me, right? That definitely bothers me right there. Autopsies was supposed to have been done. Every state does it, right? The state coroner does an autopsy, right? And you have to call in and ask for, for that report. Outside of that, they would just put what the person died for on the death certificates. But come on, like really think about it. Like, how did this man who is pretty much healthy, right? He's pretty much healthy. He's a gym rat, Yes, he used steroids. Yes, he was using steroids from another country that was not FDA approved. But you could look at him and see that he was relatively healthy. And for them to say that he died from natural causes, that would just be weird. His age, he's not dying from natural causes. Something had to happen. Something had to occur, right? Something had to occur. And for them to not even, disclose that I would have been weird and I would have been distraught and I would have felt exactly how his mother felt, that I was calling on him and seeing how he was doing. And his wife is literally, brushing me off. She doesn't want me around. She doesn't want me to see him. She doesn't want me to try to speak with him. I told her to take him to the hospital prior to anybody coming to the house to do a wellness checkup. And she was like, oh, no, he's all right. He'll just be fine. Just give it 2 to 3 days, right? Oh, 2 to 3 days for the poison to set in, right? Miss Thing, right? That's what you wanted her to, like, don't come over here in 2 to 3 days. We need that poison to really set in and be in his system so his system can shut down. That's what she was saying. But I do find it very, very weird about them saying that they didn't give him an autopsy. I just find that odd. If y'all are in America and you're within the states, the state coroner does an autopsy. Now, if you want your own autopsy, that's different, right? You can have that done, but you're going to have to pay for that, right? You're going to have to pay for that. So I think that's another reason why she didn't even want the mom around either, because even after this, if the mom decides to say, hey, listen, I want my son, I want my own report. I want an autopsy done, a private autopsy done on my son to see what happened and what's going on. What can, yes and no, there's something that can be done about it because, he did have a living wife and you're just the mom, right? But still, I think she just didn't want no one or anyone to ask any questions about what happened. And she just wanted to hurry up and, just get him under the ground per se, which is really sad. It's really, really sad. Miss J said all red flags. Yeah. But only if they sense foul play. Right. It's just sad. It's definitely sad so far.
Traditional funeral. It's unclear whether Natalie knew about it, but behind the scenes, West Virginia State Police detectives were busy investigating Michael's suspicious death. Approximately 4 months later, she found a local businessman who was interested in purchasing 49% of TSG and was buying it for $5 million. He eventually gave her a $50,000 deposit, but investigators showed up at her home with a search warrant in late June of 2019, just before the deal went through. But surprisingly, they weren't investigating Michael's death. Instead, they were following up on allegations that Natalie had conned her investors, that TSG was not a viable business, and that she was running a Ponzi scheme. During the search, investigators confiscated documents, computer files, and electronic devices, and they also found a vial of insulin in the refrigerator. Natalie was not taken into custody or charged with any crimes, but investigators eventually determined that the business was a scam and that she and Michael had never even bid on a single government contract despite taking more than $2 million from investors. As bad as Ponzi schemes are, the Cochrans was even worse because they intentionally targeted friends and family members. The big question was Michael in on it, or had Natalie pulled the wool over his eyes as well? In the end, investigators concluded that he probably was not involved in the fraud. Natalie filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy protection the following day and eventually pleaded guilty to the aforementioned charges. In March of 2021, she was sentenced to 11 years in prison and ordered to return nearly $2.5 million of investors' money. In one fell swoop, Natalie had irreparably harmed her relationships with the family and friends who had invested in TSG. And worse yet, her 2 children would have to spend more than a decade with the in-laws because their father had passed away and she was going to prison. But as bad as things were, they were about to get far worse because investigators looking into Michael's death ultimately concluded that he probably did not die from natural causes after all. Michael's body was exhumed approximately 7 months after his death, and shortly thereafter, forensic pathologist Dr. Piotr Kubacek performed an autopsy. But after examining the body and running a number of toxicology tests, he could not determine a cause of death. Then, 4 years later, forensic pathologist Dr. Paul Uribe performed another autopsy after Michael's body was exhumed for the second time. By then, Michael was in an advanced state of decomposition, but even so, the doctor concluded that someone had introduced non-prescribed insulin into his body and that his death was a homicide. Natalie was already serving time for the federal money laundering charges when prosecutors charged her with first-degree murder in mid-November of 2021.
The court calls the case of State of West Virginia versus Natalie Cochran. Natalie Cochran, how do you plead to this charge of first-degree murder as alleged against?
So, yeah, Ms. J says she's laughing. She was laughing. The reason why she was laughing because the detectives that came in there to detain her wasn't even there because of the assumption that her husband died from unnatural causes or possibly a homicide. She was literally getting booked from something that she did before. The Ponzi scheme, the stealing of the Little League, what's the name, and also lying to the investors on how much of a value of her company was. And then now to come to find out that, like I said, they did not even get the government contracts. But that's what you led on to the investors to invest in your company, that you sealed the deal and you got the government contract. I'm telling you, it doesn't work that way. It's a long process with government contracting. And if anybody who's been in the military know that, right? Especially if you was in the contracting part of the career field. It's a big process. It has to go through a lot of regulations. It has to have funds put aside for that. It's not like how you get other contracts or civilian contracts or even private contracts. It's not the same. It's not the same at all, right? So they didn't even get government contract, let alone did they even go and tried to bid for government contracts. But they went out and they went to family members and friends first, talking about their business, created a whole marketing of TSG and all the stuff like that, probably a website and everything. They did all the basics. They probably even got screenshots of products that they seen on other tactical gear websites channel and said, hey, this is what they're selling. Let's make our website look like this is what we sell. And, it was very believable. And then the family member don't have no reason to not believe you. To them, you're the last individuals that they would think that will steal for them, right? So you played on that. You played on your connections with your family, the friends, the mother, and all that. And like I said, I kind of believe from the beginning that the husband was not involved and did not know, right? Because this was her baby. Remember, right? He was a technician, right? An engineer technician. So he worked in technology and he did gym stuff. And then he also coached a little baseball league. He had a full plate of things to do and stuff like that. He was making money. She's the one who decided didn't want to be a pharmacist anymore and wanted to get into the quote unquote tactical gear and selling with selling military gear or stuff to the to the government and stuff. This is what she wanted, and he was trying to be a supportive husband and support his wife's dream of creating this business. And now everything falling out, like it's insane. And then she's smiling because she's like, hey, yeah, they want to get me for that. Okay, cool. 11 years, that's nothing. She's not even thinking that they're going to be able to come and add on anything else. And she figured, like, I was clear and Coast is clear with what happened with my husband because I got charged with this. I'm willing to do the 11-year bid because I still have $100,000, $200,000 or whatever left out there waiting for me after doing 11-year bid. I'll still be able to see my kids, graduate. I'll still be able to see my grandchildren. I'll still be able to go to weddings, just only do 11. She was willing to take that, right? She's like, I'll eat that 11. That ain't nothing, right? And I'm not going away for no criminal. I'm not going away from no criminal crime. I'm going away from a white collar crime. Like, she's like, yeah, that's nothing. Absolutely nothing, right? I don't think that she expected that they were going to add on, to the situation. So we're going to see. We're going to see what happened now that they're moving into her being charged for the murder of a crime after finding out that she was giving him, or I wouldn't even say if she was giving him, but obviously he was not taking prescribed insulin that will be good for him, right? Or good for his body. And that was one of the reasons that caused his death, so we'll see. Let's go on.
You in indictment number 23-F-343K. Are you guilty or not guilty of such offense?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Natalie's trial got underway on Wednesday, January the 15th, 2025 at the Raleigh County Circuit Court in Beckley, West Virginia.
On February the 5th of 2019, Michael Cochran was a 200-pound, healthy 38-year-old man. By midday of February 6th of 2019, he had lost consciousness and he would never regain consciousness. He died in hospice care 5 days later, February 11th of 2019.
Defense attorney Matthew Victor argued that Michael was a steroid and insulin user and that he had a well-documented history of relatively serious health issues. He readily admitted that Natalie and Michael bought boats, jewelry, property, and classic cars with their investors' money, but said that she had not injected him with the insulin that sent him into a coma and ultimately killed him. Early on, the prosecution called banker Michael Nexon to testify about working with Natalie during the loan application process.
In terms of the division of your time with the Cochrans, did you spend more time involved with Natalie Cochran or Michael?
The bulk of it was with Natalie. The only thing I recall is one time there was a gentleman on the phone there in the car who said it was Michael Cochran. The rest was pretty much exclusively with Mrs. Cochran.
Were there any funds in this account at this point?
So from our side, there was nothing. So essentially it was, we own these government contracting businesses. We're going to have significant funds coming and going from these accounts, which if it was real, U.S. Trust and the private bank would absolutely be the best place to go to do all this. And so at the time, there's nothing in these accounts. We are essentially getting everything set up or getting the piping in place to allow money to come into the account and then be a real source of financial help. But no, nothing, to my knowledge, at least from a U.S. Trust side, there's nothing ever in the account.
There's an email from the defendant of March 14th of 2019. Could you take a look at that one?
I have that in front of me, correct.
And what did the defendant indicate to you was going to happen then?
So rereading this email, they are asking for wiring information for their account. They've said that $100,000 is coming in. Other government funds are coming. And that she's emailing a death certificate and the state paperwork so we can remove Michael. So in the interim, we've been informed that Michael was in the ICU and then passed. And so in that interim, that's where we are as of March 14th, which is trying to move money around with these accounts.
Michael's best friend, Christopher Davis, testified shortly thereafter.
Tell us your relationship with Michael Cochran.
Mike was one of my best friends. And, we did a lot together and spent a lot of time together. And, we not only personally, but we coached sports together and, vacation together. And he was he is a dear friend.
You miss him?
I do. He was a very strong man. He's a good man. And he would want me to be strong now as well. And he was a good man, a very good man. He wasn't the best father, the best friend, or the best husband, but I'm not either. But he's not what you heard he was. He loved his family. He took care of his family. He loved his friends. He loved his community. Spent a lot of time in the community. He loved life. He wasn't sick. He wasn't ready to die. He was healthy. Even up until the day he died. He had plans.
Just look at her face. She don't even care. He's literally sobbing because he misses his friend. And, he's full of anger because, I'm sure he's under the impression that she unalived her, his best friend. And she doesn't even care. You could look at her face and she's like, I don't care, dude. Get over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just get over it. I don't, she's annoyed. She's, you would think if this was her darling husband, right? And I always talk about, people's mannerism stuff. And even though people grieve differently in this situation, the way how, it was set up or it was said, it made it seem like they were such a loving couple and that she was in love with him and he was in love with her. And they were very supportive of each other. But she has shown no sign of having this type of love and support of her husband, no emotions at all. She seems more irritated that he's sniffling and crying than anything else, right? Not even weeping, even when people are not guilty, right? So if you're talking about someone that is supposed to be dear to them, you start to see emotions about them when you speak of them. You know what I'm saying? Just even hearing that person's name and knowing that this person is no longer here or whatever, it kind of makes you teary-eyed because you think about all the good times and stuff that you did have with this person or talk with this person. And this is the woman that literally laid in the bed with him every single day, right? The best friend has more emotions about Michael than she does. And that's quite telling. Quite telling. Miss J says she's like, really? Right, exactly. She really is. She really is. She's just like, I'm over it. She's rolling her eyes, everything of the sort.
Plans. He had lots of plans. He was doing lots of things. He couldn't wait to the things he was doing. And that was also for his family.
Next, physician's assistant and family friend Stephanie Hamilton took the stand.
She had texted me and told me that she had pneumonia, and she was still coughing really bad, and she wanted to know if she could get some steroids. She asked me if I told her that was fine. I usually do pills. She asked for a shot. So I was going to give her that, send it in for her to the pharmacy, and I asked her if she wanted me to come by and give it to her. She said no, that she could administer it.
And what did you prescribe for her pneumonia?
Solumedrol.
Generally speaking, what is that?
That is a steroid.
And that's the medication you offered to in pill form, but she wanted an injectable.
Prednisone pill form, but she wanted an injection. She suggested, she asked for Solumedrol.
Okay. And an injection, is there any way to use the item you prescribed, the specific item, without needles?
No. Michael was laying on the couch.
Oh, so this lady's testimony is a seal of the deal for this woman, because now everything is all clear. It proves that Michael did not overdose on his own. It proves that you literally asked the family, I guess medical person, the family nurse, right? You asked her for insulin and you said it was for yourself. You didn't say it was for Michael. You said that you weren't feeling well and that you was looking for a steroid. She offered you in pill form. You said, no, I need an injectable. You specifically asked for a injectable. Normally when you get an injectable, it's because it goes into your bloodstream a whole lot quicker than it being dissolved by pill form, right? Because we know pill form have casings and things of that sort, and it takes a while to go through the bloodstream. So yes, when you do it injectable, it literally goes through the bloodstream a whole lot quicker. The fact that she said that she wasn't feeling well and she asked for this insulin, however, you're not the one who got an insulin dose. And even if this woman did that, right, she gave you what you asked for. I'm hoping that she didn't violate any rules. You know, that's what I'm hoping, right? I'm hoping that she didn't violate any rules, and she created a prescription for her, and she's not even your client. You don't even know her medical history. I hope that's not involved in this situation. But even within that, so now if they found that particular type of insulin in Michael's body, the question is, how did it get there? How did it get there? Did you stab him with it? Right? Did you inject him yourself while he was sick? Huh? Or did you, put the injectable in some water or some liquid and have him drink it? These are things that I will want to know. But even within that, like I said, right there and there, that is a seal of the deal type of witness, statement from the witness, right? And what she was dealing with the lady with, the text messages that confirmed that she asked for this type of steroid. Yeah, that's a seal of the deal. When, as I ever seen it, that's a seal of the deal. But let's go on.
John, one thing on the phone that John had asked me to do was to bring a thermometer, that Natalie didn't have one. So when I got there, he was laying on the couch sleeping. Michael was laying on the couch sleeping. She had the blood pressure cuff on his arm. There was numbers on it as if it had just been taken. she had the pulse ox on his finger, which monitors like oxygen rate and pulse rate. And that all looked normal. Nothing alarmed me when I saw the numbers. The only thing I had with me was the thermometer that they had asked me to bring, which was a ear scan. I walked over to him and
Walked over to Michael?
to Michael. He was laying on the couch, and went to take his temperature and told him, Michael, this is Stephanie, because I knew how Michael was. If he had just woke up and saw me standing there, he may punch me. So I said, Michael, it's Stephanie. Don't hit me. I'm going to take your temperature. And he turned his head towards me. I took his temperature. It was fine. And then he was laying on the couch. They had a recliner that kind of sat behind the couch. And I sat down in the recliner. So his head was behind. I mean, I was behind his head. He was in there. And talked to Natalie and John for a few minutes to see what had happened and what was going on.
What were you told had happened?
I was told that, I knew.
Unless it's a statement of the defendant, I object to hearsay.
Fair enough. Did the defendant tell you what happened? Did Natalie Cochran tell you what happened?
Yes.
What did she say?
She told me that they had been sick that morning, which she had said through text. She said he was throwing up and he had a seizure or something in the kitchen and fell on the floor.
Did you ever advise her not to have him checked by anybody?
Never.
What did you specifically advise her?
That he needed to be checked. She told me that he had a history of seizures and he had stopped taking his medication. And I said, he has to be checked. I said, even people with the history of seizures, anytime they have one, they need to be checked. We never know which one's damaging. And she said she was going to let him check it off. I kept offering, I would go with her. We would go, we could bypass Raleigh General if that's not what they were wanting to do. We could go to Charleston. She said he wasn't happy at Charleston either. I mentioned Princeton. Nothing was good enough.
Investigator Robert Heisman also testified about financial improprieties he found while investigating Natalie and TSG.
Exactly.
Natalie Cochran was attempting to sell off this business at that time.
What was the gross price for the business sale?
She was attempting to sell the business for $4.9 million to a local businessman.
And a local businessman, did they do anything to further the sale?
Yes.
A deposit, that kind
yes.
of? Tell us about that.
This entire thing occurred over a 6-day period prior to the execution of the search warrant. Her and this individual had met and he agreed on buying a partnership interest of this business. And she contacted him a day after, 1 to 2 days afterwards, and said that she needed a deposit placed on his purchase interest, a $50,000 deposit. And he wired her $50,000 the day before the search warrant was executed.
49% of the business that the purchaser was buying, what kind of assets was the purchaser purchasing?
This buyer was led to believe he was buying a 49% interest in and assets that had been to him that were associated with the business. He had been told that there was a fleet of vehicles, that there was an airplane that was an asset of the vehicle, and other business assets that they had at that time, the business location on Eisenhower Drive, and any other assets associated with the business.
So the $4.9 million deal that never got fully executed, what time frame are we talking about?
This was June 25th, 2019, when I made contact and told this individual not to wire any more money to her.
And that's because why?
Because we determined at that point that the business was fraudulent, the contracts were fraudulent, there was no money, there was nothing for him to purchase.
Natalie initially indicated that she would testify on her own behalf, but as the trial drew to a close, her defense team informed the court that she no longer wished to take the stand. After closing arguments and final instructions, the judge dismissed the jury for deliberations. All told, they needed less than 2 hours to reach a decision.
In the case of State of West Virginia versus Natalie Page Cochran, case number 23-F-343K, the jury verdict is as follows. We, the jury on the issues, joined unanimously find the following. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree. Foreperson of the jury. It is dated 1/29/2025. There are no marks on the portion of the verdict form pertaining to involuntary manslaughter. Does the state wish to examine the jury verdict form?
Thank you.
Does the defense?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
You may be seated. Is there a request for the court to poll the jury?
Not from the state, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
All right. The verdict is received by the court and directed to be recorded. I'll ask the state to prepare an appropriate order in the premises. The court accepts the jury verdict and finds this defendant guilty of murder in the first degree.
Before the sentencing phase of the trial, the judge permitted friends and family.
I'm sorry. She now looks sad. That is the first expression I have seen on this woman since this whole case has even started, right? I mean, we did see her smirking and smiling, but this is the only time we actually seen her show any form of emotion. She has not shown any emotion at all about her husband, her healthy 38 years old husband dying for apparently from an overdose of insulin that he was not even prescribed to take, right? She didn't show any emotions at all. She didn't show no emotions when the best friend was on there. She didn't show no emotion. She had this stern, I'm annoyed, whatever thing. Now, when they hit you with that capital murder, though, when they hit you with that capital murder, them tears start falling. Now that straight face, that poker face start going down now because now it's real, right? It ain't what you thought it was going to be, right? That 11 years. You thought that you was getting away with 11 years. Oh, no. You know what that capital murder hits for, right? And remember, that is going to run consecutively with the time that she's serving, right? I mean, if she's lucky, because sometimes they usually will start it like once you finish out your 11 years, they'll start the other the other conviction. But if she's lucky, she'll have it done at the same time. So while she's serving the 11 years, she's also serving the time for capital murder, which will pretty much give her less time depending on what her what's the name is going to be. But that's only if she's lucky. But I don't think that she's lucky, and I don't think that this is, it's not even a laughing matter. It's not even funny. And it seemed like she was willing to sacrifice her husband to save herself, right? She was in a lot of debt and she kept on creating debt everywhere she go. She was scamming people. She was robbing from bill to pay the poor. You know what I'm saying? She was doing Robin Hood backwards. That's what she was doing, right? She was doing Robin Hood backwards, and it's sad, it's really sad. Yes, exactly, Jay. She is praying for that concurrent. Yes, she is. She's definitely praying for it. Capital M, she got her wake-up call. Yeah, absolutely. And she's no longer laughing. Nope, she's not laughing now. She all teary-eyed and she it ain't funny no more, right? You're not in control of the situation anymore. It's sad. It's really, really sad. So let's hear what his parents have to say. And you remember what I said, right? This is very hard for them, because not only do they lost their life savings, right? Investing into their daughters-in-law's business, they also lose their son. I mean, what can you say from that outside of anger and really anger and loathing and everything of that stuff? What can you say for that? It's terrible. It's terrible. But let's go on. Let's finish this up.
Family members on both sides to deliver victim impact statements.
Evil must be held accountable. Natalie Cochran must be held accountable. Life in prison for a premeditated murder may seem fair.
Hi, Liana. How you doing?
But what I think is just
and thank you so much for your
would be to take a rope over here to the courthouse, throw it over the branch of that big oak tree.
Because he was a minor, Natalie's son was only identified as MAC.
She's going to prison. The question here today is, does she go to prison for the rest of her life, or is she eligible for parole in 15 years for mercy? How do you think you need your mother in your life, or even if you think you need your mother in your life from this point forward?
I want my kids to have a grandmother. I want them to know her. I want them to be able to go over to their grandma's house and have Christmas and spend time with her.
Would you like her to be around and possibly out of prison if you get married or anything like that?
Yes.
Hey, a shout out to my bro, No Captivity with Freezy. Thank you so much. He has sent a $10 super chat. He said, hey, my beautiful sis. Hey, bro. How you doing? I hope you're having a great Saturday, sir. A great, great Saturday. Thank you so much for coming by, and I truly appreciate all the support. Mons, if you could, can you please drop down Freezy's channel so anybody who wants to join in at the No Captivity family? I am part of the crew as well, the No Captivity crew. Freezy does great content. He talks on many different topics. Right now, he's on a really, really good topic, and he's been killing it at his channel. But if you're into different topics, having real conversations, you know what I'm saying? Not just gossip or anything. Real conversation and discussions. Please go ahead and check out Freezy channel. You will not regret it, and you can definitely say that MJ sent you. All right? Thank you so much, bro. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Miss J. I truly appreciate you, dear. Thank you so much for putting in the link for me. Truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. He said, just got out of my Bible study, about to share you. Oh, thank you so much, Freezy. I truly appreciate you. I hope Bible study was good. All right. Shout out to you and shout out to the fam. Truly appreciate it, bro. Truly, truly appreciate it. All right. So, guys, let's go ahead and finish this out. She's doing all the crying now. She got the waterworks because now she's realizing everything is hitting her now. Oh my God, I messed up my life. I affected so many people just because I was just trying to, get money, and I was trying to cover up the things that I was doing. And it's really hitting her now, right? Because there is a possibility that she won't see her child have children or spend time with her grandchildren when they come. She won't be able to participate in, him marrying, the love of his life. There's so many things that she wasn't thinking about when she was doing what she was doing that she might have to give up because, you're going to have to deal with your consequences, right? So we're getting all the emotions now. She was stone cold Steve Austin just about 20 minutes ago, but now she got the waterworks and everything going. But let's go on. Let's go on.
Everyone knew Natalie was going to prison because the jury had already found her guilty. That said, the victim impact statements were particularly relevant because they might sway the judge to give her life without parole or to make her eligible for parole after 15 years.
It is the judgment and ruling of the court that the defendant, Natalie Page Cochran, be, and she is committed to the penitentiary of this state
gorgeous, baby.
for her natural
Gorgeous.
life without the possibility of parole.
Nicole Montalvo.
All right. So she was given life in prison. Man. It's sad if you really think about it. Like, there was so much that she, she could have done better. And I don't think that that was the right route. I understand that she needed the money. I understand that, she was trying to, rob Paul to pay Bill. I understand that, but the route that she took wasn't the good route. If you really think about it, if she didn't decide to even do that, she would have only had to have done 11 years from doing what she did with the Little League, spending their money, right? She would only had to do 11 years, but because she decided, and she was desperate, and desperate minds do desperate things, she decided to do this. And now she put herself in a situation, and it's unfortunate. It's bad. It's hard for everyone involved. You could see how this has really impacted the family, his parents. I'm sure it impacted her friends, her parents, their mutual friends. It's a lot. A lot of people was affected by this, and I hope that the son, I hope that he's in a better headspace now. I hope that he understands what's going on. Whether he decides he wants to forgive her, and obviously we could definitely tell that he still loves his mom, and that's what he loves his mom, and he has every right to love his mom. He really do, right? So hopefully they're in a better, just a better headspace, a better headspace, better emotional space, for everyone, right? Because it's hard. Because it seemed like he was a guy that was highly loved by the people that was around him, the people who know him. And it is a loss. It's a loss nonetheless, right? Let's see. Miss J said the husband did not know. I don't think the husband know. Did the husband have an insurance policy? I'm sure he probably did have an insurance policy. But yeah, she wasn't gonna get that, and it seemed like she wasn't even banking on it either, because it seemed like she went after that $100,000 bank loan 6 days after burying him. And when she sent them the information, they would say, hey, you have to go ahead and take my husband off the application because he's no longer alive. And then she sent them the death certificate. So yeah, that's how that played out. All right, guys. So that is the 3 cases that I have for your good folks today. I hope you enjoy them. They were a whole lot shorter than the normal ones that I tend to do. And we had some really good, discussions in there. I just want everybody to go ahead and hit the like button for me while you're going on the rest of your day to enjoy the rest of your weekend. Truly appreciate that everyone that was able to stop by and, participate in the chat. Shout out again to my bro Freezy for the financial support and coming in to just support and say hi. As always, truly appreciate you, bro. Truly appreciate you. My mods, as always, y'all are the cats meow. You're the best thing ever, and I always appreciate you guys for the things that you do. And hey, listen, guys, I might or might not come back next week, right? I'm not gonna come back tomorrow. I'm gonna continue to pack and stuff like that because, like I said, I've been packing all morning, and I was like, yo, I gotta do some content for you, good folks. So I came in to do content for you guys, but I'm gonna go back to resuming with my packing and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna go live tomorrow. Next week, I'll still decide whether or not if I'm gonna go live, because next week is my birthday. So an old girl gonna have to go out and show out. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I will set up the notification for you good folks so you'll know whether or not if I'm going live or not. All right. But again, I appreciate all of you. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will talk to you soon. All right? Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.